Texas Document Solutions?
Relaxed and more comfortable with what we're doing. The work gets out faster.
Relax and get more work done faster with Sharp from Texas Document Solutions. Call 979-775-5500.
Texas Document Solutions.
979-775-5500.
As Americans, we celebrate all the things that make us different. So what is the thing that connects us? The thing that makes us Americans? It's simple. It's our shared belief that we are Americans. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. That belief that we each can be who we are and live the life we dream, in harmony with one another, in our system written in the words of the Constitution. Know your Constitution. It's who you are. It's who we are.
Unity. It's an American thing. From AmericanThing.org.
Your home for Aggie football, Aggie basketball, and Aggie baseball. It's the Zone 1150 AM and 93.7 FM. This is KZNE College Station, Bryan.
From WTAW, I'm Chelsea Reber with a news update on the Zone. Texas A&M starts spring semester classes today, which means more students in and around the Northgate District across campus. College Station City Manager Brian Wood says the densely populated area is a tremendous opportunity.
There are not many 100,000 plus person cities that can say we have, a downtown-like environment with high rises and more to come. So it's not just, okay, how do we make sure everything is okay? It's how do we capitalize this?
Wood says they're also working closely with the universities, and student housing options continue to expand in the Northgate District. An 18-year-old Caldwell man is arrested less than a week after a shooting at the Pearl Apartments on Harvey Road, where one person was shot in the parking lot. According to the College Station Police arrest report, the 13-year-old victim who was shot in the leg was able to identify one of two people who was with the shooter. That led to the arrest of 18-year-old Jalen McClendon for aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, deadly conduct, and possession of marijuana. He's held in lieu of bonds totaling $279,000. A bill has been filed that would allow ranked choice voting in Texas.
Ranked choice is when you vote for who you want, followed by your second, third, and fourth choice for however many candidates are on the ballot. The goal is to avoid runoffs. Austin State Representative Vicki Goodwin says House Bill 259 would apply to nonpartisan elections only.
Austin just had an election for mayor and city council members where we had a runoff election, and that cost $1 million just for the runoff, and turnout was 15%.
Ranked choice is being used in over 20 U.S. cities. Goodwin, a Democrat, says voters in Austin passed ranked choice voting in 2021, but it wasn't used due to concern that Texas doesn't allow it. Barbara Schwartz, TSN News.
For more news, go online to WTAW.com. I'm Chelsea Reber on The Zone.
Does your bank know your first name? At Normandy State Bank, they do. Normandy State Bank is locally owned, controlled, and operated. This local personal touch means banking decisions are made on site the same day you request it. Normandy State makes banking easy. They're open Saturdays, offer state-of-the-art online banking, bill paying, fund transfers, check and statement images. Normandy State, where customer service is their priority. Normandy State Bank, rock solid. Member FDIC.
Hi, this is Jeff Vanderwood with Verabank. Verabank is continuing to grow in the Brazos Valley with a brand new full-service banking center on Highway 6 in front of Academy. We have a team of genuine bankers specializing in personal and business banking, wealth management, and investor real estate lending ready to serve you. Verabank is here to help you succeed financially, and you can bank on it.
Visit Verabank.com today. That's VERA Bank.com. Verabank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Want $50,000 to develop your big idea? If you have an idea, a prototype, or a startup in manufacturing or industrial technologies, this message is for you. Design Spark is now accepting applications for their Accelerate Technology Incubator Program. Selected applicants will participate in the 12-month Accelerate program and qualify for up to $50,000 of in-kind funding. Application deadline is January 31st. If you are ready to accelerate your idea, go to designspark.com/accelerate to apply now.
Good morning, sports fans. I'm Sean Burnett with your Aggie Sports Minute on The Zone. This Sports Minute is brought to you by Hilco Metal Roofing and Supply. Call 936-825-0500 or click hillcosupply.com. Texas A&M men's basketball has received 5 votes in this week's AP poll. The men will look to keep their streak alive as they take on Florida for the second time this year on Wednesday at Reed Arena with a 6 o'clock tip. Head coach Buzz Williams about Florida on his radio show last night.
So since we beat them, they've won all 3 games. They beat Georgia, they won at LSU, and then they beat Missouri on Saturday. So what our staff has done, I guess it would be Sunday and today, is diagnose our game, of course, and what our initial plan was, and then study specifically what they have done the last 3 games.
And that's been your Aggie Sports Minute, brought to you by Hilco Metal Roofing and Supply. On The Zone, I'm Sean Burnett.
What can you expect on the Louis Bellina Show, presented by B&B Automotive and Superior Auto Service? Great question, Bob. Well, we talk a lot of Aggie football. We're fans of Aggie basketball, Aggie baseball, too. From time to time, we'll venture into the lifestyles portion. Sure, maybe it's not sports, but things in the life of every sports fan. We also love to take your text messages, great guests from around the country. That's what you can expect from the Louis Bellina Show, presented by B&B Automotive and Superior Auto Service.
If I'm going to do this, I'll need my news team at my side.
News team, assemble!
Howdy, Aggieland. Welcome to the SEC.
You know, our program will be built on 4 principles in which I talk about all the time: toughness, effort, discipline, and pride.
Dang it! I'm going to have to buy that boy cream cone.
Now I'm distracted on my point. What were we talking about?
It's bullcrap. All I care about is winning. Show me the dang baby.
You do it till they do it right, and then you do it till they can't do it wrong.
Go get him. Why are you dancing around? Eat him like he's a steak.
He fits what TexAgs radio is about. He fits into what the listeners are going to want. He's a pro on every level.
It's Nuño and the crew on TexAgs Radio. Right here on Sports Radio 1150 AM and 93.7 FM. The Zone.
Hey, hit records on my demo. Did y'all boys not get the memo? I do not stay at the Intercontinental. And anything I got is not a rental.
So, maybe the foggiest morning I've driven in my life. Welcome into TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. It is the Go Hour, presented by The Warehouse at CC Creations. Maroon never looks so good with Maroon You. Welcome into the show, everyone. OB is with us, Olin Buchanan, our Heisman Trophy voter, and, of course, dear friend. Good morning, OB.
Yeah, it is a good morning, even though it's a foggy morning. My team won last night.
Well, I was following you on social yesterday, and you were getting a little agitated with idiot kickers.
Brett Maher, yeah.
I don't know if he's an idiot. He's probably a nice guy. I'm just using that from the Peyton Manning line.
I tweeted last night. I like to tweet while I'm watching the game, you know.
Yep.
And I put that I covered high school football for 15 years in Texas, and I don't think I ever covered a game in a high school game where a guy missed 4 extra points.
That's in a row.
In a row. I mean,
it's going to be an NFL record, right?
It is. It is. First, it was a playoff record, and then he missed the 4th one, and it became an all-time record.
And he's missed one the week before, right?
Right. So he missed 5 in a row. And the thing is, he's a good kicker. He's won some games for him with long field goals. But that's mind-boggling. That you know, an NFL kicker would miss 4 consecutive extra points in a game. I mean, your team is playing great, and you're leaving the door open because you can't kick an extra point.
It's kind of ridiculous, to be honest with you. Let me ask you this. I watched most of the game, not all of it. Do you think the Bucs were just bad or the Cowboys were just really good? Or both?
I think that night the Cowboys were really good. They finally got pass rush again. And historically, and I know it's not vintage Tom Brady anymore, but historically, when Tom Brady looks human, is when he faces a pass rush. That year they went undefeated. It was in the Super Bowl. The Giants got the pass rush, and all of a sudden he was vulnerable. And the Bucs have a good defense. I mean, what's wrong? I mean, they've got a solid defense.
Yeah.
So they're not the Bucs aren't.
The Bucs defense did not look good yesterday.
It didn't, but why was that? I mean,
Dak was on.
Middle
of the field was open quite a bit.
He was getting the ball to his tight end a lot.
So let me ask you this. Do you think, had Brady not thrown that interception, I think it was 6-0. Was it 6-0 or 13-0 at that time? 6-0, right?
Maybe I can't recall.
They were rolling.
Yeah,
they were rolling. Now there was a couple times that Brady almost threw an interception on that same drive, and they had just put the graphic up. He hasn't thrown an interception in the red zone in the playoffs with the Bucs. All right, cool. And then he throws it 2 plays later. Yeah. If they score a touchdown there, does that game feel different?
I think it feels different. I do think that Dallas would have won because of the way the offense was playing. But
that was basically a 12-point swing.
Yeah.
Or a 13-point swing, right?
Not 12 because they missed extra points.
Yeah. Well, that's considering the
could have been
the Bucs would have. They would
have made the extra points, so 13 points.
Yeah.
It was. Yeah, I mean, of course, it could have changed the direction of the game, the complexion of it. But the thing was, like I watched the experts before the game, and 3 of them, picked the Bucs to win. I'm like, well, okay, Cowboys hadn't played well in a month. I can't say I blame them. I personally thought Dallas would win. I didn't think they'd win like that.
It was impressive.
Yeah. So now
they get the 49ers next?
Yeah, they're going to lose.
Yeah.
That run defense is not going to. If I get frustrated, and here we go. If the Ravens can go out and make a deal for Roquan Smith to with the Bears to shore up their defense, when the Cowboys linebackers are atrocious, don't get me started about Van Der Esch, who does not deserve to wear 55, Leroy Jordan's old number. Dallas can't. Dallas can't make that move, to shore up their defense. Their run defense is atrocious, and when they play now,
are you talking about the Aggies or the Cowboys?
Well, really,
I'm sorry.
And Tampa Bay couldn't run on, but Tampa Bay hadn't run all year.
Yeah.
That's been their big problem. So I just don't think Dallas will be able to handle the combination of running, passing that San Francisco can do.
Is Tom done?
Is Tom done?
I almost feel like because it was such a bad year and he didn't like the Tampa situation anyway, if he can go somewhere else, he will.
Here's why I come in. He allowed, because he wanted to play, he allowed his marriage to a supermodel to dissolve over an 8-9 season and first round exit of the playoffs.
If that's really the cause of him wanting to come back. They may have been having problems before that. Don't she hook up with her trainer or something?
I don't know. The way I heard about it, I don't get into the gossip too much. What I read was, he had promised her this was it, and so she'd put her career on hold and certain things, and then he says, "No, I want to go back." She, you lied to me, and it went downhill from there. But I'm just saying, I got a supermodel wife, and I put the marriage in jeopardy to play, and it went 8-9, and it's so you break up your family for an 8-9 season or whatever they were. I got to believe he's coming back.
Yeah. Hey, so FanDuel's got your top 5 Heisman contenders
already.
They do, and I'm going to read them to you and tell me how you feel about
They're going to probably put Caleb Williams number 1.
According to FanDuel, number 1 is Jaden Daniels plus 2,000.
I would not bet on that.
I wouldn't either. Number 2, Plus 2,000 as well, so tied for one. Joe Milton, Tennessee.
I would not bet on that either.
Number 3. Yeah, this is top 5 Heisman Trophy candidates. Oh, excuse me, in the SEC. I'm sorry, I read the title wrong. Number 3, Carson Beck, Georgia quarterback.
No, I would. Guy's not played yet, and you're just because he's Georgia quarterback. Now, I'll say this: if Georgia is in the championship picture, he automatically becomes a candidate,
and they will be in the championship picture, I think.
We assume.
Number 4, who would you guess, or what program?
I'm sure they're finding somebody from Alabama.
Yep, Ty Simpson, plus 4,000.
Guy hadn't played yet, so.
And the 5th one. In the SEC, I could see KJ Jefferson, Arkansas, plus 6,000.
I think of the 5, the one that makes the most sense is KJ Jefferson, except that he's going to be behind a completely rebuilt offensive line. That was one of the strengths of their team. Mm-hmm. And his leading receiver is gone. In fact,
and maybe his offensive coordinator.
Yeah. In fact, if I was going to pick 5, I would have to take some of those guys off. Where's
Connor Wigman?
Well, no, you know what? Even let's not be provincial. Even though I'd take Wigman over a quarterback who hadn't played yet.
Yeah,
but shoot, the running back from Ole Miss, Quinshon
Judkins, absolutely,
or the running back at Arkansas.
Yeah, But to me, again. I have homer eyes, I'll admit it. But a quarterback who also is a 5-star,
and
who has
played well,
and threw for 8 touchdowns and 0 interceptions, and beat the number. What was LSU when they beat him 4?
Well, they beat Jaden Daniels,
and they beat Jaden. Yeah, they beat Jaden Daniels. How is he? I'm not saying that he's one of the top 5, but I would say in the SEC, I can make that argument.
I do not. I respect Jaden Daniels as a dual threat quarterback. I don't think he's a great passer, but he's good enough, and he runs well. Mm-hmm. I respect his game. He is not a Heisman candidate in my mind.
Again, to be fair, it is the top 5 in the SEC.
In the SEC,
right? And I don't think Connor is.
I don't know how you could, have a top 5 and not put Quinshon Judkins in there.
Yeah, I agree. If you want to be a part of the conversation, call us up 979-693-1150, or you can text us on the A&B text line, 979-693-1150. A&B, a College Station branch of the Amarillo National Bank. Good Texas banking, the website, amb.com. We go around the room. Behind the glass is Nick Savage. Nick, good morning, sir.
Howdy, good morning, y'all.
What's going on with you?
Oh, nothing much. Hey, Nuño, before we do get started, I got to say,
you
know what I'm saying. Ago. As much crap as people give you for what you wear, I do like that pullover. It's pretty sharp.
Yeah, I was going to take it off before we started the show. It's an ABC 13, but it's comfy.
It's cool.
It's like my OB doesn't care.
Yeah.
Whatever. It's just a top.
OB doesn't want to participate in the fashion.
Well, it's nice black.
It's black.
Pullover. Sweater or whatever.
Yeah, I like it. Hey, Nick, I think the people have got to you. After people have pointed out that you've come after me and been very critical of my hosting abilities, I think now you're like, all right, let me find something nice to say. So
exactly. Gotta level the playing field a little bit. But anyways, I'm excited for the basketball game tomorrow, man. Hopefully Reed gets a pretty good crowd there, and
there's gonna be a really good crowd.
I really hope so. I'm gonna try to make it out, but it's gonna be fun.
I'm gonna try to make it.
You better. You better make it. Hey, who's with you, Nick?
It's Cole Jordan. Cole, where are you from?
From Henderson, Texas.
Texas. The Henderson. He's a Henderson Lion.
You know every.
Well, I know all the teams in East Texas.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, big rivals of the Kilgore Bulldogs.
That's right. I didn't know. Hey, what's it called? So
was Dickie Meeks your coach?
No, sir. We had Phil Castle.
Phil Castle, he said.
Okay. Coach Castle.
He must have replaced Dickie Meeks.
He said they got beat by Carthage every year. So.
Yeah, that happens a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not Carthage, even though my mother used to pronounce it that way. It's Carthage.
So I've lost interest in this topic. We're going to move on. Thank you, guys. Appreciate you. We go now to the news. I'm kidding, by the way. News and Social Center. This guy hasn't been around in almost a year. 9 months probably, right?
Yeah. Had to go out and run around.
And he sends me this text this morning. Let's see if I can read it, because to me, this sounds like you're here. But Our News and Social Center person is Eric Asarge. You remember him from doing the show last year, also on the cross-country team and track. And he says, let's see if I can find it right here.
Wait a minute. He had an All-American year this year, didn't he?
He's fantastic. Was it All-American, Eric?
Not quite.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, not quite.
Never mind
But
then.
it was definitely my best season. First time being all SEC and cross, and then opening up my season with the 6-second PR. Couldn't ask for a better start.
All right, so that's the good stuff about him. He's really good at running. Yes. In fact, one of the best of all time in this office, right? He is the best. But then he sends me this text at 7:44. Looking forward to seeing y'all again today. Someone can let me in the front or the back. So that was at 7:44. So Nick is in here, and I was like, hey, Nick, can you let Eric in? Nick checks the front, checks the back, and no Eric. So I was like, maybe check the side door. No Eric. I text him, I go, where are you, bro? Oh, I'm not there yet. I'm on my way now. Who texts somebody, hey, can you let me? Yes. So Eric, do you if you're going over to somebody's house for dinner, do you say, hey, can you let me in? And they go to the front door and you're not there? You're still just leaving your parking lot? Is that how you handle things?
Normally, I like to say that I'm on the way, but I haven't left yet. I'm that type of person. I know it's a red flag for me, but I'm working on it. And I guess it was just bad context for me. I think the fog got to me this morning. I was trying to say when I got there, could someone let me in through the front or the back? It was more like a question more than I'm here. Could you let me in?
So just explore this a little bit longer. Wouldn't you expect that somebody would let you into a place you work?
Good point. Yes, I
call HEB before I get there, and I say, hey, can you guys let me in?
I think the answer to all the explanation to all this is he hadn't gotten all that Oklahoma out of him yet.
Yeah, you're probably right.
I did go back to Oklahoma a couple times this summer, so maybe it just all that knowledge from OU just all jumped on me again. Who knows?
All that knowledge.
Yeah.
That knowledge of showing up, the knowledge with a capital N.
Oh gosh.
Eric, let's get into some of the texts and the topics, my friend.
Yeah, so first we got a text message from JW. It says, what is happening? Zach Taylor doesn't do Aggie Sports Minute anymore. Change is sad.
It's true.
I don't know. Are we allowed to say what he's doing?
Well, I mean,
did he tell people? I don't know.
He told me, but
okay.
And he told other people, not just me, but I don't know if he's told people. But yeah, he's going to move on to a different career.
Yeah, congratulations to Zach. Great dude.
Having children very often
game changer
changes what you're going to do with your career, especially when your career is this.
I'm Zach Taylor.
Don't want to work nights and weekends anymore. I got Hudson with me now, so that's his son's name, Hudson.
Well, hey, congrats on the new career. We're going to miss you. Hopefully you'll keep in touch. I think you'll be staying around the Brazos Valley. And whoever takes over, I'll be doing your voice as well. That's how we roll.
Good Tyler guy.
Yeah. Very, very, very good guy. Eric, anything else?
Yeah, so I hope I don't butcher this. Bocus from Katie? I think that's how you say it. First, David, how about Barcelona on Sunday?
Let's go with Bosis.
Bosis?
Yep.
They said, David, how about Barcelona on Sunday?
All right, let me address this quickly. OB, Barcelona and Real Madrid are rivals. Lakers, Celtics, right? Yeah. Okay, and they kicked our butts in a final of a tournament. And
what else would you do in soccer?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. And we got embarrassed, all right? We got embarrassed by our rival 3-1, but it was worse than that, in my opinion. And I got to live with it. And it's funny how, I never tag people. I've had a lot of people come at me bringing up that Barcelona beat us. A lot of people like Bosis have told me, come out of the way. I've never been the kind of guy to reach out to my rivals and say, you lost, because we've won. Is it 4 out of the last 6 Champions Leagues? It's 4 out of 6 Super Bowls. I don't tell people. I'm just used to winning. So if you need to gloat for beating us, by all means, do what you got to do. You're very similar to a University of Texas fan that holds on to a couple moments in your life. I'm going to enjoy our team's rich history. Should I leave it at that?
Yeah. You should probably leave it at that, because that's what
That's what champions do.
Yeah.
And just for that, we're going to come back with that song "Champion" by what's the girl that everybody listens to in here? Famous singer. Who's the most famous girl singer?
Taylor Swift?
Yes.
Oh, God.
I think she sings "Champion."
I don't even know that song.
Oh, God.
And I knew that.
I think it's her. I'm guessing. We're going to come back with that. All right. Right now, we're talking about the Association of Former Students. They've been around for 140 years. And in those 140 years, Real Madrid has won more titles than anybody else. But they've been also giving back to Aggies all around the world. They certainly have done that. The Aggies love to help Aggies, and they are the pioneers when it comes to it. They lead the way. They give to scholarships, student assistance programs, Aggie bands, silver taps, ring day, class reunions, mustard, tailgate, traveling Aggies. That is what the association does. But have you ever stopped to wonder why? Probably not, because you listen to this show every day, and I tell you exactly why they do it. They do it because they love Aggies, and they want to continue helping Aggies all around the world. So they've created IamTheWhy.com. It's a website with a collection of stories about Aggies, and these stories are through their perspective, their lens, and it's just a cool place just to feel good about being an Aggie and seeing that Aggie network. And you can upload your story as well and tell Aggies all around the world about how your time at A&M went. It is IamTheWhy.com. Again, that website, IamTheWhy.com. It's the Association of Former Students.
I'm Chelsea Reber with your community calendar on the Zone. Grimes County Go Texan Weekend, supporting the youth of Grimes County and Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo, is January 27th through the 29th at the Grimes County Expo Center in Navasota. Local high school sophomores, juniors, and seniors can apply for an all-expense-paid 10-day trip to Washington, D.C. Apply for the BTU Youth Tour by February 1st at btutilities.com/youth tour. Join Brazos Valley Community Connection for a one-day event with various community resources and agencies for those in need of services and or help. Friday, February 24th from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. at First Baptist Church in Bryan. For more information, email kduncan@sarkbv.org. Your home for Aggie baseball is 1150 AM and 93.7 FM. Your home for Aggie softball is Gospel 97.3 FM. You can hear both online at radioaggieland.com. That's your community calendar. I'm Chelsea Reber on the Zone.
Hey, if you're tired of chronic joint pain, knee pain, shoulder pain in your hips or back, listen, I've got exciting news for you, and my mom needs to hear this as well. Hey, it's David Nuño. You don't have to go through another year in pain. Next generation pain management has arrived here. It's QC Kinetics. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in cutting-edge regenerative medicine. Regenerative medicine is amazing. It's an all-natural process that uses highly concentrated healing properties from your own body, putting them directly into your achy joints to restore and repair that damaged tissue. I'm talking about lasting pain relief with no drugs, no surgery, and no downtime. Pro athletes have been doing this for years. Now you can too. QC Kinetics has got 100 clinics in America, and now they're here with regenerative solutions to get you moving again this year pain-free. If you're sick of living with pain from arthritis or injury, call the local medical professionals at QC Kinetics for a free consultation. 979-452-6000. That's QC Kinetics, 979-452-6000. That's 979-452-6000.
It's back bigger and better than ever. Chili Fest 2023, March 31st and April 1st in Snook. Want to be the first to know the lineup? Be at Shiner Park Saturday, January 21st at 7 o'clock for the 2023 Chili Fest lineup reveal party, followed by a live performance from the Huser Brothers. It's the 2023 Chili Fest lineup reveal, Saturday, January 21st at Shiner Park in Northgate. With your home for A&M Athletics, the Zone 1150 AM and 93.7 FM.
Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max.
There's a very, very good argument that over the last two seasons, when on the field, Lamar Jackson's the best player in football. Have we seen the last of him in a Ravens uniform?
I don't believe so. I think that this is not necessarily a standoff, but I think it's a situation that they've got to correct and get right. But I don't believe that he's done as a Raven.
Spend your mornings with Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max, powered by WC Tractor. Mornings from 5 to 8 here on The Zone.
I'll be the last one standing, 2 hands in the air, I'm a champion. You'll be looking up at me when it's over. I live for the battle, I'm a soldier. Yeah, I'm a fighter like a fighter.
I want to put the camera on, OB. This is your jam right here? Stab in your ear with a pen?
No, it's not my jam, even though there is. It's funny you should say that. I've told you about the guy who used to have a radio show here in town, and he was saying one time, and this is a grown man,
yeah,
and he was saying, the Beatles were overrated, and people are arguing with him. He said, no, Taylor Swift, that's my jam. I'm like, hand in your man card immediately. That is, if you were ever given one. Why is this still going on, for God's sakes?
Oh, because it's annoying you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why. In fact, Sean back at the mothership told me he was going to play it under the bed the entire segment.
Oh.
Just kidding. He's not.
It's painful.
He'll fade it out. My youngest daughter loves Taylor Swift. I think there's a certain age that
okay, I get that.
And then I think like college girls all day, 25 and under. Is that fine?
Look, it's fine for anybody to like what they want to like, right?
You just don't want to like it.
I don't like rap. I don't want to like, I don't like, there's some country. I don't like this new country,
right?
But, to each his own, just, don't pollute my world with that noise.
Right. No, I feel you there. It is
My world is now polluted.
TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. And we are the Go Hour, presented by the warehouse at CC Creations. All right, let's get into our big shot of the week. And, OB, I'm going to do basketball to start. Okay, I think you know which direction I'm going, right? But I'm going to do it as a pair/individual. If we can show Julius Marble's stats over the last week on the big screen, and show you what these two gentlemen have been doing. So, am I reading that correctly? 25 and 26 points, 7 of 14, 9 of 18, 5 rebounds, 20 rebounds on one side, 3 and 1. So if we put them together, we average it out, my friend, pretty darn good. Combined stats over the last 2 games, 51 points, 25 rebounds, 4 blocks, 3 steals there from Dexter Dennis and Julius Marble. 2 of the newest additions, they're not new now, but to Buzz's team, and they're living up to what we hoped they were going to be early on.
I would have to add Wade Taylor.
Sure.
Who scored 20 points against South Carolina. I can't remember right now off the top of my head how many he had against Missouri, but I know he was in double figures. I think it's probably around 14, maybe 16.
And that was mostly in the second half, if I remember correctly, right?
I think it was all in the second half.
All in the second half, yeah.
He was huge in the second half. So I think Wade Taylor is just playing great. Hell, what am I saying? They're all playing great right now.
They are.
The whole team's big shots right now.
They are a bunch of big shots, and we love it.
So is Damani Richardson for coming back, announced that he's coming back.
That was a while ago, huh?
Wasn't it last week?
Was it last week? Probably was. I don't know. It just feels like it was a long time ago because because we're waiting to find out about maybe some other guys.
Yeah. I thought it was last week.
It might have been.
You know what? If it was 2 weeks ago, he's still a big shot.
It doesn't matter. Still a big shot. We'll do it next week, too.
That guy had the 2 biggest momentum-changing plays in A&M SEC victories.
It was January 1st that he declared.
Is that long ago?
Yeah.
Still a big shot.
Yeah, it's a huge shot. I'm going to throw one more.
All right, what else you got?
NFL level, Christian Kirk.
Christian Kirk's playing great.
He is playing great. And you did correctly say, if we can have an opinion here, that he was the best free agent pickup last year or in this past season in the NFL.
I think so. And
8 catches, 78 yards.
Looks good in that uniform.
And a huge touchdown, and that come from behind.
I've always said that, it's not like this doesn't take amazing insight, just average eyesight. His first-round talent taken in the second round.
Yeah.
And, the Cardinals obviously didn't utilize him correctly.
And he had some huge performances.
Had some really good, yeah. They just had other guys that they were going to feature, and he was more of a supporting actor. Now he's got a lead role, and he's taking advantage.
I wonder what Kyler Murray's going to look like moving forward, because not only did he lose Christian Kirk this year, which hurt him, it looks like DeAndre Hopkins could be on the way out, and he lost Cliff Kingsbury, who's an offensive-minded head coach. You start losing weapons.
In the future, I could see him coming up short.
Boom, boom, boom. When we come back on TexAgs Radio, I'm gonna bring up a couple of little comments out there. We're not gonna get mad anymore. We're not about. This show has turned the page. At least I have. There was a little stretch where I was getting mad at all these people's opinions. I'm just gonna comment back. It's gonna be a polite conversation with the world. Can we do that?
That's going to be no fun, but okay.
I mean, you're allowed to get mad. But I'm a happy-go-lucky guy. There's a lot to be happy about.
There's a lot to be happy about these days.
And, OB, one day, Heritage Films should do your documentary, right? So people can know what life was like growing up. I'd like to see, people you grew up with telling stories about young OB. Oh, were you a tough guy in high school?
No. I was just an average run-of-the-mill guy. Very very unassuming.
What sports did you play growing up?
Well, I played football.
Football? Through high school or through middle school?
Yeah, I played football in high school.
Okay. And after high school, how quickly did you know that you were going to be a news reporter, sports reporter?
I was working full-time at the Longview Journal by the time I was 19.
I say all this because I think Quinn and then Quinn's kids and his grandkids, they all need to know this story. I'm using you as an example, but how cool would that be? And I think our listeners are probably like, yeah, I want to know more about OB's kind of rise through the empire to become TexAgs leader over here. Well, that's part of the story, guys. You can do that with Heritage Films. Chance does that. Very creative guy who tells your story, and that story is then preserved for the next generation and the next generation and next generation. Documentary at its best. It takes about 8 to 10 weeks to do, but when it's over, you're going to be so happy with it and share it with all your loved ones. YourHeritageFilm.com is the website. YourHeritageFilm.com. 713-893-8341. 713-893-8341 is Heritage Films.
You never know who might stop by TexAgs Radio. Jimbo, Schloss, Buzz, Ross. It's TexAgs Radio. Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 11 on The Zone.
Want $50,000 to develop your big idea? If you have an idea, a prototype, or a startup in manufacturing or industrial technologies, this message is for you. Design Spark is now accepting applications for their Accelerate Technology Incubator Program. Selected applicants will participate in the 12-month Accelerate program and qualify for up to $50,000 of in-kind funding. Application deadline is January 31st. If you are ready to accelerate your idea, go to designspark.com/accelerate to apply now.
Since 1957, Slovakic Sausage in Snook has been making the best tasting sausage in Texas from the same family recipe. Slovakic is the official sausage of Texas A&M Athletics. Whether it's from the grill to the family gathering or from the pit to the neighborhood party, serve the sausage voted best in the Brazos Valley. Serve Slovakic. Be sure to come in and check out their full-service meat market, relax on the front porch, or grab some fresh kolaches from their bakery on your way out. Slovakic Sausage, Highway 60 in Snook.
Brazos Running Company, located in Century Square, knows the right shoe makes all the difference. They are passionate about running and fitness and for finding the shoe that fits your stride and style. In addition to sought-after running shoe brands like On and Hoka, Brazos Running Company now carries Birkenstock shoes, and they are the only place in town to carry Vuori clothing, one of the hottest athletic wear brands in the country. So come shop Aggie-owned and operated Brazos Running Company in Century Square below Star Cinema Grill in College Station.
A half a ring of Cooper's world-famous regular or jalapeno sausage cooked to perfection cowboy style over mesquite coals, then paired with one of your favorite homemade Cooper sides, beans and barbecue sauce. That's what you get when you ask for Cooper's Old Time Pit Barbecue's Saw 'em Off Sausage Special, only $9.99. Experience the taste of locally Aggie-owned, nationally recognized Cooper's Old Time Pit Barbecue. Voted best barbecue in the Brazos Valley and proud supporter of Texas A&M Athletics.
As a real estate agent in the Brazos Valley, we have a few questions for you. Do you desire to grow your business? Are you passionate about exceeding client expectations? Would you rather work with a local company backed by Compass, the largest independent brokerage in America? What are you waiting for? Lone Star Realty Group, a strong local brand with instant recognition, awaits your move. Contact William Sears at LoneStarBCS.com. Your success is just a click away. Lone Star Realty. Experience, integrity, results. An equal opportunity employer.
I didn't think he was disrespectful to Saban. I've heard people around Saban were blowing a gasket. Nick Saban put himself in that position. David Pollitt simply did his job.
It's the Paul Feinbaum Show, powered by Polaris Fun Center, 2 to 4 weekdays on The Zone.
Lord, it's the same old tune, fiddle and guitar. Where do we take it from here? Rhinestone Suzanne.
Now we're
Rhinestone
talking.
Suzanne, she parties.
No, Suits.
Oh, sorry.
Suits.
Oh, I thought it was Suzanne.
Need a change. That's Waylon Jennings singing.
Yeah, Mr. Jennings. That's what we call him.
Well, the late Mr. Jennings
Yeah.
now. Saying, did Hank do it this way or something?
I like Waylon Jennings.
I do too.
I wouldn't say I work out to him, but when he's on, I bob my head to it, my friend.
He's a great outlaw country singer.
Yeah, he is.
One of the greatest.
We're TexAgs Radio. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. It is the Go Hour presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations. OB, by the way, you can text us on the AMB text line. OB can too during the show. 979-693-1150. That is the AMB text line. Do you want to go with nice commentary about A&M or not so nice commentary to start off? You pick. Choose your own adventure.
Let's go on the not so nice. I always like a good debate.
So Matt Hayes has...
He's a friend of mine.
Yeah, and he's not a bad radio guest. I don't know him well, but he's got an article out, where he's answering questions. It's mostly about Alabama. But in the column, he talks about all teams. He makes a little commentary on his first and 10 about each team out there. And he does get to Texas A&M. And I'm going to read you part of what he says because I think it's important to... It's not just negative. Okay? It's not just negative, but it is one that kind of bugged me. So when talking about Bobby Petrino and Jimbo, he had some things to say. If it works, it could work gloriously, right? But he also says, I'm going to read this to you as I look for it. Can Petrino and Fisher, two of the biggest egos in the sport, coexist? It will be fascinating to watch. So my question to you is, and we did this pre-show, and we'll do it on the show. Does Nick Saban have a pretty darn big ego?
Yes, and he coexisted with Lane Kiffin, who I think has a pretty large ego.
Oh, interesting. All right, let me ask you another one. Do you think Kirby Smart probably has a big ego? I don't know this guy, but do you think?
I would assume that anybody that's head coach of a major college program probably has an enormous ego to think that, I'm the guy that can get this done.
So let me just make sure I got this right. Elite coaches have egos.
Huge egos.
Okay. So
it's one of the reasons they're elite.
And you covered Jimbo daily for the last 5 years. Does Jimbo's ego to you in our encounters with him, and we get closer to him than a lot of people do, right? Seem any bigger than anybody else's?
Not really. I've had a guy who I really like, Mac Brown, called me out in a press conference before because, I laughed at something that he said.
Yeah,
that wasn't meant to be funny because I disagreed with it. So obviously his ego was I don't want to say wounded, but maybe his ego led him to not just overlooking it, and it was something I shouldn't have done. But no, I think and he's a good guy. I think that everybody, again at that level, if you don't have a big ego that thinks, hey, I can lead all these people. I can make this. I'm the guy that can make this program. Think about all the guys that actually take on a job, and they're usually taken on because somebody got fired.
Yep.
But yeah, it was a train wreck. But I can make it different.
Yeah. By the way, that's in every profession. Talk show hosts have egos. I know you guys know that. I assume teachers do. Elite doctors do. I mean, that is part of what. I hope you have a bit of an ego, and you're sure you can be humble, but I have dealt with Mike D'Antoni, one of the nicest coaches I've ever dealt with, had an ego. Dusty Baker comes across as a nice guy, right?
Well, I think everybody
has ego.
Has an ego. It's just now different people can. I don't want to say mask. It's not the right word, but there's just because you have a big ego doesn't mean you have to be a big jerk.
Right. And by the way, Jimbo's not a jerk at all.
I think he's cooperative. Now, sometimes is he going to like a question that somebody asks? I've asked him a question before, and I could tell he didn't like it, and it made him angry.
Yep.
And he gave me a kind of a blow-off answer, and which is his right to do.
Sure.
But he's still cooperative. I mean, he still answered it. I remember it was after the UMass game. And he talked about being a good win. And I said, hey, Coach, this is a program that aspires to win the SEC West and play for championships. So how can a program with those kind of aspirations look at a win over UMass, especially an impressive win, and call it a good win? Well, he didn't like that question. Not that any coach would, but it wasn't meant to be a nice question. But he still gave me an answer. He's a cooperative guy, and I don't think you can ask for anything more than that.
Here's another thing, too. Does Jimbo have too much of an ego to change his offense?
Well,
apparently not, right?
Apparently not.
Okay. So, again, yeah, a college head coach has an ego. But to say that one of the biggest in the sports, I don't know how. First off, I didn't know there was a poll that would tell you, yes, I think college head coaches have egos. And to pull out and to say that Petrino and Jimbo, two of them, well, didn't Nick Saban have a little bit of an ego this past summer when he was upset that A&M was, beating him on the recruiting trail? His ego was
so
battered.
much so that he made false accusations.
Exactly.
And by the way, remember Saban and Kiffin, he was saying that wasn't a discussion, that was an ass chewing and all these things. They coexisted. Now, I understand that it's an interesting experiment with Bobby Petrino and Jimbo Fisher. Jimbo's changing things that he's never done before. I mean, he's never had an offensive coordinator like in this role who's actually going to – and Bobby Petrino, when was the last time he had a boss that, that could say, no, we're not going to run that play? Or I want you to run. I don't want to throw right now. Or, hey, let's push it. He's always done what he's wanted to do. So it's an interesting, I would have just said, hey, can these two guys coexist?
Yeah.
But
throwing the ego part of it, and the same, some of the biggest in the sport to me was like,
yeah. How do we know that?
And it just seems rude. You just don't say it. How about that?
Well,
Just-
write what you want to write, and if there are any, all right, I don't think Jimbo would do this, but let's say Matt Hayes requested an interview, and Jimbo said, no, my ego is too big to do an interview with you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then you have to take on the results of potentially offending someone,
Yep.
right? I don't have a problem with him actually, writing what he wants to write.
No, I don't either. But just like it just seems a bit mean under the circumstance. Like,
Unnecessary?
Yeah, unnecessary. Like, is it say
Matt has come off since the Jimbo Fisher hire as being one of those guys, whether he is or not, he has come off as being one of those anti-Jimbo Fisher guy, that one of those guys in the national media that kind of appears to be hoping Fisher fails.
Yeah. There's a. By the way, I think Jim Harbaugh, huge ego, right?
Yeah.
I think. By the way, Bill O'Brien, definitely a huge ego, and he might.
What's bigger, his ego or that hole in his chin?
That's tough. And by the way, I don't know how to respond to that. I kind of like Bill and dislike Bill. It's like kind of like he was very nice to me personally, but like he wasn't very good at his job, although he's probably the most successful coach they've ever had. But beyond that, he may leave Alabama for the Patriots job. And how that changes things in Alabama, because I think they're changing lots of things there.
When Bill O'Brien, when he built his reputation as being this great offensive mind, wasn't it with a young Tom Brady as his quarterback?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Huh.
I will give him this. He did get a lot out of Brian Hoyer, Ryan Mallett. Who am I thinking about here? Ryan Fitzpatrick. He didn't get that much from Brock Osweiler. He didn't get that much from him, but he did get a lot. And Deshaun had his best year with Bill.
Yeah, I mean he I can't say he was incompetent. I mean, he had a 24-point lead on the Chiefs.
At least for a quarter, he was good.
I mean, they were able to put 24 points on the Chiefs in a quarter
and not win.
Oh, well, see, I wasn't going to put that part in, but
yeah.
Why do I care? They're the Texans.
I think you care.
No, it's like I said before. I think they should. What I care about is, as a native of this great state, a proud native of this, I don't think they, until they get their stuff straightened out, I don't think they should be able to use the nickname Texans. They should just be called the Houston football team.
By the way.
You're dragging the rest of us down.
By the way, this is me guessing, and I think most of social media is guessing. In 2024, they're coming out with a new uniform color scheme.
Really?
And most people believe they're bringing back the Columbia baby blue. And I don't know how they're going to get that deal done with the Titans or what, but that's a lot of people believe that's. And if they do that, I'm all in. I'm back in.
You know what? Why stop there? Why don't you
Call them the Oilers. I'm in.
Call them the Oilers.
Why don't wish.
You, like the Browns did?
I wish they would, but the Adams family wouldn't sell.
Well, now that Uncle Fester and everybody, now that Bud has passed on, what if you approached them and said, "Hey, look, we'll pay for it"?
Well, there's a different affinity for people from my generation and obviously before think of the Oilers, but the McNairs, they're Texans. They're not the Oilers. They didn't buy the Oilers. They bought the Texans.
Aaron McNair was a
he was a really good Oiler too. Yeah, I wish he would have stayed in Houston a little bit longer. But
he would have if they. but Houston only has themselves to blame. I mean, seriously, we're not going to build a stadium. You're going to stay in this in the Astrodome. And they say, okay, well, I'm going to take the team out. No, we're not going to build a stadium. Okay, I took the team out. Wait, he took the team. Hey, let's build a stadium.
And by the way, they got a team real
and they
quick
got a team because they built the stadium. Yeah. Well, of course, they're the fourth largest city in the country. Yeah. But anyway, again, I don't care. It's the Texans. They're not my team.
All right, when we come back next on TexAgs Radio, we're going to get into some basketball stats to chit-chat with you. We'll do that. If you want to call the show or be a part of the show, you can do that at 979-693-1150. That is the A&B text line. We'll have more in a few.
I'm Chelsea Reber with your community calendar on the Zone. The Brazos Valley Astronomy Club invites the public to hear Mark Spearman, Ph.D., discuss the multiverse, science or pseudoscience. The free event is Friday, January 20th at the Physics and Astronomy Teaching Observatory at 7:30 p.m. More information is at brazosvalleyastronomyclub.org. A&M Consolidated Fine Arts presents Mamma Mia the Musical. Performances run January 26th through the 28th. Purchase your tickets online at consolfinearts.ludus.com. The Brazos Valley African American Museum invites you to their 22nd annual appreciation event on Saturday, February 25th. Purchase your tickets online at bvaam.org. Listen to the NFL playoffs on 1150 AM and 93.7 FM thanks to Hungry Howie's. You can hear the divisional round, championship weekend, and the Super Bowl every game on the Zone. That's your community calendar. I'm Chelsea Reber on the Zone.
Question. Would you pick a chain barbecue place over a hometown joint? Do you root for East Coast universities instead of the local team? Nah, then why choose a big Wall Street bank? A&B started in 1892. 5 generations later, we're still owned and operated by the same Texas family. We support this community. We value your privacy. We make quick decisions, and we hate red tape. We answer to you, not Wall Street. Bank with A&B. Family owned, Texas proud. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
You know us through the Aggie Ring and our work helping current and former students. You also know that we work to uphold our traditions and help bring Aggies together around the world. We are the Association of Former Students, and it's our mission to provide resources, support programs, and cultivate the experiences that you know and love. But have you ever stopped and wondered why? Why does the association support Texas A&M and Texas Aggies? Why are we always here, there, and everywhere for the Aggie Network? Why do we tirelessly work to ensure that the Aggie experience is both unforgettable and life-changing? Well, you may be surprised to learn that the answer to why is as unique as your own Aggie story. That's why we created IamTheWhy.com, a place for shared Aggie stories and unique perspectives. It's where you can hear the why, see the why, and discover why Aggies like you are the why. Visit IamTheWhy.com today.
On Sports Talk, Chip visits with former Congressman and basketball star Tom McMillan on his mission to change the NCAA.
They got to win the trust back of a lot of schools across the country. That's one of the things that's happened is, at this convention, a lot of ADs don't even go.
Yes.
They don't think they don't think it has any relevance to them.
Sports Talk, holding individuals and institutions accountable since 1994. Weekdays from 4 to 6 on The Zone.
I come in last night about 10:30. That baby of mine wouldn't let me in. So move it on over.
Welcome back, TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. It's the Go Hour, presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations. All right, so something just came down. D1 Baseball's preseason rankings. By the way, I am not offended by these rankings by any stretch, so please don't take that. But would you believe that A&M is the 4th-ranked SEC team? Not in the country, 4th-ranked SEC team based on what's coming back. Would that surprise you?
Not necessarily, because the SEC is loaded every year. So if you're one of the top 4 teams in the SEC, that means you're probably one of the top 10 teams, at least in the nation.
Well, they're number 5. So that's what I'm saying. I'm not offended by it at all. Number 1, according to D1 Baseball, LSU, who played the transfer game, brilliantly. Tennessee, number 2. They were number 1 all of last year, right? Number 3, Stanford.
Okay.
Number 4, Ole Miss.
Okay, defending national champs.
And then number 5, Texas A&M.
Yeah, by the way, I think A&M won the series against Ole Miss in Oxford, if I'm not mistaken.
And they also beat LSU in Baton Rouge.
They did.
Yeah.
So, look, you're going to put me number 5 in the country?
That's great.
Okay, sure. I'm actually looking forward to A&M baseball season. It's not something that I typically get into, but I don't know. Schlossnagle made it feel different.
So there's 7 SEC teams in the top 10, 9 in the top 25 total.
Is that good?
It's the SEC is stronger in baseball than it is football, it appears.
That is pretty darn deep, and which makes you really appreciate what they were able to do last season in year 1. And there is no guarantee that this team will do exactly that again this year, although I have my hopes set on another College World Series appearance. A long way to go for that, but another year of Schloss, and 6 guys in there? Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
There's 6 guys coming back. Pitching staff could be stronger. There's definitely a chance.
My only hope is let me put it this way, when the Aggies earn a return trip to the College World Series, my only hope is that Lucci this year will spring for airplane tickets instead of us having to drive all the way to Law.
Yeah, I agree. Since we're running out of time in this segment, let's just close up with some text messages there on the AMB text line. We return to the News and Social Center. Eric Casares.
Yeah, so Tom in Houston said, Houston Oilers, the problem is that oil is not politically climate change correct. There's a large population outside of Texas that hates big oil. If NFL teams are having to change their name, Oilers wouldn't last. Not that I agree, just what I know in my part of the business world.
Being a native Texan, I always say that, a true native Texan, because he doesn't care what anybody else thinks. And that alone, what he just said out, other people found on it, would be the absolute reason why I would change back to Oilers if I could.
Yeah, let's do it, please. But it's not going to happen. Eric, what else?
Spencer in Denver. Guys, those comments are not about Jimbo Fisher. The writer is expressing his insecurities and personal struggles with jealousy and not being good enough. Say a prayer for I will not say that word.
The B.
The B.
But not the...
Is that what they're calling Matt?
Yeah, Matt's a nice guy. I don't know. I just think it was a bit extreme. That was it.
I think I think it's interesting question.
Can they coexist? That question?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a fair question.
I don't know if it's, if you want to call it ego, okay. It's
2 elite offensive play callers throughout their career. Mm-hmm. Can they coexist? That's how you phrase it.
Yeah. That's how, but okay, whatever. It doesn't matter. Here's what happens is if you go out and it's successful, the same guys that have been critical will be kissing your feet.
Don't ever do that. Eric, let's get the last one in.
Dale and Tabor, how much ego fans will tolerate is directly proportional to a coach's winning percentage.
There you go.
Oh, that's so true. Greg Popovich. I mean, he's got an ego.
Yeah.
And he wins. Well, not
Used
as much
to.
recently, right?
It's amazing what having Tim Duncan and
Tony Parker and Manu Ginobili can
do for you.
And another one, Bill Belichick. Huge ego.
Huge ego.
And I understand why. Yeah, you're right. The more you win, the more it makes sense. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter what people say. It really doesn't, right? Just go out and win the games.
Just win. If win, it doesn't matter. People will celebrate you no matter what. If you just win, as long as you're not doing something afoul of the law,
yeah,
just win.
Yeah. And as you've said many times, Bobby Petrino has paid his penance, if you
he
will.
Has. Just as Hugh Freeze and Lane Kiffin and Brian Kelly and others have. Sark has.
Yeah, there's a lot out there. People tend to overlook. Let's just say.
Cast the first stone.
Yep. OB, thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
When we come back on TexAgs Radio, we'll talk a little patience when it comes to basketball, and something Billy said on the show yesterday caught my attention. Plus, we're going to go through SEC starting quarterbacks. We've kind of done it before, but there's an article that's predicting, and I think it's way too early for any of that, and I'll explain why. We'll have that. We'll get to your text messages, your phone calls, all that, and much, much more. You're listening to TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers.
Looking for the Zone prize rules? Would you like to apply for a job at the Zone? Or need a phone number or email for the Zone? Visit zone1150.com. Would you like to sign up for the Zone All Access newsletter? Looking for podcasts of TexAgs Radio, The Louis Bellina Show, or Chip Howard? Or would you like to see the Zone's daily schedule? Visit zone1150.com. For more information, any questions, to contact us for everything and anything about the Zone, visit zone1150.com.
If you believe placing your electronic devices on sleep or standby when connected to a network will prevent attacks by hackers, think again. They are susceptible to remote attacks. So whenever possible, turn your computer, tablet, or smartphone completely off, or switch to the airplane mode located in your settings application. It's your first line of defense against hack attack. A public service message from the Consumer Electronics Association.
Listen to Louis Bellina, Chip Howard, TexAgs Radio, or Paul Feinbaum. Do it on your smart speaker. Just say play Zone 1150 now. This is KZNE College Station Bryant, Aggieland's home for sports.
From WTAW, I'm Chelsea Reber with a news update on the Zone. Texas A&M starts spring semester classes today, which means more students in and around the Northgate district across campus. College Station City Manager Brian Wood says the densely populated area is a tremendous opportunity.
There are not many 100,000 plus person cities that can say we have, a downtown like environment with high rises and more to come. So it's not just, okay, how do we make sure everything is okay? It's how do we capitalize this?
Wood says they're also working closely with the universities, and student housing options continue to expand in the Northgate district. An 18-year-old Caldwell man is arrested less than a week after a shooting at the Pearl Apartments on Harvey Road, where one person was shot in the parking lot. According to the College Station police arrest report, the 13-year-old victim who was shot in the leg was able to identify one of two people who was with the shooter. That led to the arrest of 18-year-old Jalen McClendon for aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, deadly conduct, and possession of marijuana. He's held in lieu of bonds totaling $279,000. A bill has been filed that would allow ranked choice voting in Texas.
Ranked choice is when you vote for who you want, followed by your second, third, and fourth choice for however many candidates are on the ballot. The goal is to avoid runoffs. Austin State Representative Vicki Goodwin says House Bill 259 would apply to nonpartisan elections only.
Austin just had an election for mayor and city council members where we had a runoff election, and that cost $1 million just for the runoff, and turnout was 15%.
Ranked choice is being used in over 20 U.S. cities. Goodwin, a Democrat, says voters in Austin passed ranked choice voting in 2021, but it wasn't used due to concern that Texas doesn't allow it. Barbara Schwartz, TSN News.
For more news, go online to WTAW.com. I'm Chelsea Reber on The Zone.
You date like you aren't 22 anymore. Like, emotionally mature is kind of hot to you now. And 6 texts sent back-to-back is totally cool. You date like your experiences, relationships, they haven't just made you you, they made you interesting. Young love was great, but dating as a fully formed, emotionally mature human? Man, that's on a whole other level. Download the Match app today.
Hullabaloo Avenue is having a sale.
Hullabaloo Avenue is having a sale?
That's right. Hullabaloo Avenue is having their biggest sale of the year with savings up to 40% off. Hullabaloo Avenue is home to Aggieland's most diverse selection of officially licensed Texas Aggie gear. Hullabaloo Avenue has something for the Aggie in your life. Fathers, mothers, brothers, sisters, cousins, and friends too. Find deals on vintage Aggie clothing, Adidas ball caps and hats, t-shirts, collectibles, and more. All 40% off. Hullabaloo Avenue on George Bush across from Kyle Field. Look for the big green sign next to TexAgs.
Good morning, sports fans. I'm Sean Burnett with your Aggie Sports Minute on The Zone. This Sports Minute is brought to you by Hilco Metal Roofing and Supply. Call 936-825-0500 or click hillcosupply.com. Texas A&M men's basketball has received 5 votes in this week's AP poll. The men will look to keep their streak alive as they take on Florida for the second time this year on Wednesday at Reed Arena with a 6 o'clock tip. Head coach Buzz Williams about Florida on his radio show last night.
So since we beat them, they've won all 3 games. They beat Georgia, they won at LSU, and then they beat Missouri on Saturday. So what our staff has done, I guess it would be Sunday and today, is diagnose our game, of course, and what our initial plan was, and then study specifically what they have done the last 3 games.
And that's been your Aggie Sports Minute, brought to you by Hilco Metal Roofing and Supply. On The Zone, I'm Sean Burnett.
You can hear the Paul Feinbaum Show weekdays 2 to 4 here on The Zone. Presented by Polaris Fun Center. Paul Feinbaum is SEC Country. And Aggieland is SEC Country too. Join Paul weekdays 2 to 4 here on The Zone. Polaris Fun Center, where you can get a $500 rebate on any 450 or 570 Model A TV. Or $2,000 cash back on a Polaris XP1000. Polaris Fun Center, where they sell and service fun, not tractors. The voice of the SEC. And you can hear Paul Feinbaum weekdays from 2 to 4 on The Zone. Grab your first cup of coffee weekday mornings with Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max, powered by WC Tractor, right here on 1150 AM and 93.7 FM. Plus online at RadioAggieland.com. WC Tractor, your local award-winning Kubota in New Holland. Do you have questions? Look them up online at WCTractor.com. That's WCTractor.com. You can also call them at 1-888-8-TRACTOR. That's 1-888-8-TRACTOR. Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max. Powered by WC Tractor.
Ready for action, nip it in the bud, we never relaxing. Outcast that's everlasting, not clashing, not at all. But see, my went to do a little acting. Now that's for anyone asking. Give me one and pass them. Drip, drip, drop, there it goes an orgasm. Now you coming out the side of your face, we tapping right into your memory bank. Thanks. So
TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. So I'm going to put a little quick project for the listeners on the A&B text line, and also to Nick and to Eric. All right, guys, I'm just curious, how many tabs do you have open right now? Eric, can you count them? If you look at your browser right now, how many tabs do you have open? And how many is acceptable, you think?
I think if it's anything over 10, you're pushing it.
Okay.
I have 7 open right now.
7, okay.
Yeah.
Let's go to Nick Savage. This is groundbreaking scientific research here on the show. Nick, how many tabs do you have open?
I got 10 open, but I'm running a radio show here, so I don't know what you want from me.
Fair enough.
All right, I'm going to tell you how many I have open. I have almost 20. And I just realized that when, the more tabs you open, the smaller, like you can't really read what's on one of them. I'll go through them so you understand that I am not crazy. One is my TexAgs email. The other is my show rundown. I have an article we're about to talk about trying to open up. I have my personal email open. Yeah, I know. I have the radio template of what we're going to be working on this offseason, or this basketball to baseball season. I have a calendar open. I have our text line open. I have Twitter open for TexAgs. I have Twitter open for David Nuño. I have Facebook open. I have TexAgs.com open. I have another TexAgs.com open. I have just a bunch of random stuff I don't know I have open. I have an article. I have our YouTube page open, and I have our TexAgs TV thread open as well. It's a little bit too many. Wouldn't you agree with that?
Well, I think social media for me, I just have it on my phone, so I would never have like Facebook or Twitter open.
Right.
But yeah, I understand for a radio show, definitely having like between 10 to 20 Like, I think that's reasonable.
Yeah, I'm curious how many of you guys at home, well, somebody just texted in 0, I'm on the way to work. Good. I'm glad you don't have your laptop open next to you as you're driving. But I feel like that's a bit extreme. So I need to get it down to the 14 number is what I think we need to get into. Let's go back to Eric Casares at the News and Social Center because apparently some breaking news developing there in the NFL.
Yep, looks like the Bucs are expected to fire offensive coordinator Brian Leftwich.
Byron?
Say again?
Byron Leftwich.
Yeah, Byron Leftwich. And one of the candidates that could, that people could be hopping on right now is the Pittsburgh Steelers because they are not happy with Matt Canada. He was terrible for them, offensive coordinator, calling plays. I mean, remember they started 2-6 at one point and finished 9-8. So it was almost like with Mike Tomlin, it was inevitable for him to have his first losing season, and they kind of just caught fire as they seem to always do. So watch out for that, as that's the biggest news right now after a 31-14 playoff loss to the Dallas Cowboys last night. Go Cowboys!
I believe, and I might be wrong here because I didn't study this information, but I believe Brady had a good relationship with Byron Leftwich. He just wasn't a huge fan of Todd Bowles. I think that's how I remember it, and obviously, the prior regime. But I see Tom coming back, and maybe not to the Bucs, but if somebody's willing to give him a year, I think he's coming back.
I was thinking the best possible landing spot for him, and this is obviously, shot in the park, but I think if he were to go to a team like San Francisco, he would literally have everything. But Brock Purdy has played too good, I think, to give up that spot. And then, of course, they still have Trey Lance back there. What are they going to do with him? I thought maybe Las Vegas, the Derek Carr era is over. And then the last team I was thinking of, Miami. Other than that, if not,
Tua has to retire or something,
yeah, like that. That's assuming
Tua had
health.
too good of a year.
Yeah. I think he deserved another year. Those are the three I was thinking about. If not, I don't see how he either retires or he stays with Tampa Bay.
Yeah, it'll be interesting if he gets to pick his offensive coordinator. But he wasn't as good. He made some bad decisions this year, no doubt. All right, so there's an article I read on 247 that talked about the starting quarterbacks in the SEC next year, and we've kind of gone over what we think, but these are some of the names that they're throwing out, and I disagree with some of them because I think it's just too early to know who's going to be a quarterback at really most of these places. Not all, a good portion of these places. Nick, I don't know if you saw the article, but Vanderbilt coming back with A.J. Swan. Don't care. It's Vanderbilt. Sorry to be rude, but he had a nice little run. 10 touchdowns, 2 interceptions.
That was exactly my thought when I read the first two schools on this list. Yeah, I don't care.
Yeah, Brady Cook wasn't bad. He did all right for Missouri. 14 touchdowns, 7 picks, threw for over 2,700 yards, so doesn't really move the needle for me. Here's one, though, that I think really helps Mississippi State is the fact that Will Rogers is coming back. And they had a really nice year, 35 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. It'll be interesting how the offense will, if it'll change at all with Zach Arnett now leading the way after the untimely passing of Mike Leach. But Will Rogers, a quarterback that A&M is going to face and a quarterback that A&M has struggled with in the past, 35 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, threw for almost 4,000 yards.
Will that be the fourth or fifth time they've matched up against Will Rogers?
I think it's
seems
fourth.
Like,
I think it's fourth.
I think so too. But my goodness, yeah, he can sling it, that's for sure. But I'm like you. I'll be interested to see how much the scheme changes now that Mike Leach isn't calling the plays anymore.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. So Kentucky, a team that A&M is not going to face. Will Levis is moving on to the NFL draft, expected to be a first-round pick. They pick up that transfer from NC State, Devin Leary. He threw for 11 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. Doesn't really move the needle when it comes to Texas A&M, but there's that portion of it as well. Ole Miss, Jackson Dart coming back. Played well against A&M. Played really well against A&M. 2,900 passing yards, 20 touchdowns, 11 picks, 614 rushing yards, and 1 score. And I will tell you, he is the reason. I know as good as Quinshon Judkins was, I don't want to say he was the reason, but there was a time in that game, if they can just have been a step closer to getting him, it would have been a sack or safety, and A&M would have been rolling. Unfortunately, that did not happen. Jackson Dart was really good. He is going to be the starting quarterback of Ole Miss. That hasn't changed, right? And A&M faces him, obviously. Arkansas versus KJ Jefferson. This will be year number 3. They have split with KJ in Arkansas the last couple of years, but we know the dominance that A&M has had over Arkansas over the last decade plus. Last year, 2,600 passing yards, 4 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. He was also able to rush the ball. One of the Heisman candidates from the SEC, at least. Look, I don't know what Arkansas is going to look like next year, Nick, because, obviously Barry Odom's gone, and there's talk about Kendall Briles leaving. The offensive line looks different. But KJ Jefferson is a legit mobile quarterback who can win.
Yeah. One of the big things for him is, can he stay healthy? Because he, got hurt for a significant portion of time last year. And, if he is healthy, we all know how good of a runner he is. Not so much of a threat when it comes to passing the ball. But, again, it'll be – I'm not sure how that offense is going to look with all that change. But, they're all Arkansas's offensive line has always been pretty strong. So if he has that, I feel like he'll be a pretty dangerous weapon for them. But if not, I wouldn't be too intimidated by him, I guess.
Another quarterback who I thought was atrocious against Texas A&M, and they still beat A&M, and who really came on at the end, at least the numbers seem to indicate, is Spencer Rattler coming in for another year there at South Carolina. Last year, 3,000 passing yards, 18 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. There was a part in the season, and I believe it was right up until the A&M game, where I think he had as many interceptions as touchdown passes, so he certainly finished strong. Not worried about Spencer Rattler in South Carolina.
Not at all.
Look, I like Shane Beamer. I like him. Likeable guy. But I am not worried about that. It talks about Connor Wegman coming back. I know there's some out there that say, well, maybe Max Johnson. I think it's Connor's job. And 896 passing yards, 8 touchdowns, no interceptions in those games. And with Bobby Petrino, those numbers could look even up. So we'll see how that works for our guy. The next quarterback, I don't think will be the starting quarterback at Auburn next year. And he was, I think, and help me out here, and Eric, if you remember, I don't think there was a worse quarterback that A&M faced statistically than Robbie Ashford last year. But as of right now, 247 has Robbie Ashford as the starting quarterback for Auburn until Hugh Freeze finds his quarterback, and he hasn't found one yet. I think he'll find one. I can't see them going into battle with Robbie Ashford. I might be wrong here. 1,600 passing yards, 7 touchdowns, 7 picks, 710 rushing yards. I thought he was bad against A&M, and they beat A&M. You notice a theme here that I keep saying, like quarterbacks that I didn't think were that good against us, but somehow they beat him. He's another name on that list.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, he was very average. Completed under 50% of his passes last year, 7 touchdowns, 7 picks. I don't really see anything from him personally.
So here's one, Graham Mertz. He is expected to be the starting quarterback of Florida. I don't even know what's happening at Florida because their whole quarterback situation out there. Jaden Rashada, I guess he didn't enroll or whatever's happened on there. But at Wisconsin, Graham Mertz threw for 19 touchdowns, 10 picks, 2,000 passing yards. So, why not? Why not? Because even if it was Jaden Rashada, is there a guarantee he was going to be the starting quarterback? And that whole situation is up in the air. The other one, Jaden Daniels, had a really nice year for LSU. Was solid. 2,913 yards, 17 touchdowns, 3 picks only. And he rushed for 885 rushing yards with 11 touchdowns. He was good. He was very good. I'll give him props, and he's part of the reason I think LSU was able to have the season that they had. Didn't have his best performance against Texas A&M, though.
I'd say he's the first quarterback on this list, at least that A&M's playing, that I go, okay, that'll be a pretty big challenge for the Aggies.
Yeah, but, they did very well. And then Georgia, as of right now, has Carson Beck as their starting quarterback. Last year, this would be a heck of a game, but he played in 7, 310 yards, 4 touchdowns, and no interceptions. It'll be interesting how Georgia, the reigning national champions, have they reached that level where they just churn and burn with their QBs? You go from A.J. McCarron to Bryce Young to whomever is going to come next, right? Are they at that level right now? But it'll be interesting. And then this one, Joe Milton, by the way, one of the favorites for SEC Heisman contenders at Tennessee, played really well in the bowl game. In the Orange Bowl, 64% completion rate, 971 yards passing. And oh, by the way, similar numbers to Connor Wegman in this regard. 10 touchdowns, no interceptions.
Yeah, for some reason when I saw his name pop up on this list, I thought, well, he's more of a runner. Then I saw that stat line and remembered that he's the one that led Tennessee over Clemson in the Orange Bowl. And then I was like, oh, okay, well, maybe they will be all right after all with Hendon Hooker moving on.
And as a reminder, A&M is facing them.
Yep, in Knoxville.
That'll be an interesting trip, no doubt about that. That'll be my first time to Knoxville. But Joe Milton, solid. But again, what do you do in a 12-game season, right? Like, mop-up duty or just coming into games. And, he played well. He played very well. Alabama, do you think Jalen Milroe is going to be the starting quarterback at Alabama? I can make an argument for yes. I can make an argument for no. But I believe, if I remember correctly, Ty Simpson is the favorite, according to FanDuel. But according to 247, they have Jalen Milroe, who could have gone to A&M. And he beat A&M. Again, I didn't think he was that good in that game. 297 passing yards, 5 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. He rushed for 263 yards. 1 touchdown. That came against Texas A&M, by the way. But it'll be interesting to see because Ty Simpson is expected to be the guy, but Jalen Milroe has been waiting his time. So we will see how that all plays out.
I mean, we know Nick Saban's not afraid to start the true freshman because he did with Bryce Young, and that worked out pretty well for them. So,
Bryce was a redshirt freshman.
A redshirt freshman, excuse me. But either at the end of the day, he's not afraid to start young guns if they can sling it and if they look ready. So I honestly don't know. I thought Jalen Milroe was pretty good, at least in the limited action that we saw him. But guess we'll see.
Wasn't his first career start against A&M this year too? I want to say in that.
He came in the Arkansas game. If A&M was the next game, then yes. Yes, it was. Yeah, it was his first start. So there you go.
Yeah, there you go.
So, and by the way, I think the point of this exercise was more to say it's too early. Because if there's a quarterback that becomes available, and I know we're running out of time for that, is Nick Saban going to go after him? Probably, right? So we can say that absolutely about Alabama. I think Tennessee's probably fine with Joe Milton. I don't know how Georgia's situation is going to develop. LSU's fine with Jaden Daniels. Florida, there's still a TBD in that section of the conversation. Auburn, definitely a TBD. I think Hugh Freeze will absolutely keep fighting for a quarterback. A&M is fine where they're at. South Carolina's fine where they're at. Arkansas is fine where they're at. Ole Miss fine where they're at with Jackson Dart. And then Kentucky, I think they know their guy. But they're still, and Will Rogers, obviously, at Mississippi State, still a lot of TBDs out there. And some of the elite programs out there with some TBDs. Nick, you sound like you were going to say something.
No, I agree with you. That's pretty solid.
All right. When we come back here on TexAgs Radio, we are going to talk 2 different storylines. I do want to talk about patience, as I mentioned earlier. I did tease that. We'll get into that when it comes to certain teams, and Billy brought it up on the show yesterday. It really makes me want to make sure that we kind of express it here on the program. And then Ed Reed in the news as well. You'll hear the story why next here on TexAgs Radio. But right now we're talking about Caldwell Country Chevrolet, Highway 21 in Caldwell, online at caldwellcountrychevrolet.com. Locally owned and operated by Aggie alumni, a great place. Zach Hester takes care of his people, and he takes care of this community. They always give back to the Brazos Valley, no doubt about that. He holds his staff to a very high standard when it comes to taking care of their customers. And I've had many of you reach out to me and tell me, man, this was an excellent experience there with Caldwell Country. That is absolutely the way they do their business, no doubt about that. Caldwell Country Chevrolet loves Aggie Athletics. They've been a proud sponsor for a long time, and over time, a lot of Aggie legends end up going there. Billy gets his cars there. R.C. Slocum gets his cars there, and only there. Dante Hall gets his cars there. Those are the folks that do business there with Caldwell Country Chevrolet because they trusted a small-town dealer here to make sure that you have the best car buying experience that you can imagine. Short conversation away, but you'll see the difference when you step on the lot and you do business with Zach and the fellas there at Caldwell Country Chevrolet. Highway 21 in Caldwell. Online, caldwellcountrychevrolet.com.
I'm Chelsea Reber with your community calendar on the Zone. Grimes County Go Texan Weekend, supporting the youth of Grimes County and Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo, is January 27th through the 29th at the Grimes County Expo Center in Navasota. Local high school sophomores, juniors, and seniors can apply for an all-expense-paid 10-day trip to Washington, D.C. Apply for the BTU Youth Tour by February 1st at btutilities.com/youth tour. Join Brazos Valley Community Connection for a one-day event with various community resources and agencies for those in need of services and or help. Friday, February 24th from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. at First Baptist Church in Bryan. For more information, email kduncan@sarkbv.org. Your home for Aggie Baseball is 1150 AM and 93.7 FM. Your home for Aggie Softball is Gospel 97.3 FM. You can hear both online at radioaggieland.com. That's your community calendar. I'm Chelsea Reber on the Zone.
It's back bigger and better than ever. Chili Fest 2023, March 31st and April 1st in Snook. Want to be the first to know the lineup? Be at Shiner Park Saturday, January 21st at 7 o'clock for the 2023 Chili Fest lineup reveal party, followed by a live performance from the Huser Brothers. It's the 2023 Chili Fest lineup reveal, Saturday, January 21st at Shiner Park in Northgate. With your home for A&M Athletics, The Zone 1150 AM and 93.7 FM.
I always wanted to learn Spanish, but I never thought I'd have the time. Then I discovered Babbel.
Babbel's lessons are fun. They only take like 10 or 15 minutes, and in 3 weeks, presto, you're starting to speak another language, like magic.
I love that Babbel's lessons aren't just robots talking. They're voiced by native speakers, so you get the pronunciation just right.
If you want to learn a language, there's no faster, easier, better way than
Babbel.
Babbel.
Babbel. Go to babbel.com to try for free. That's BABBEL.com. Babbel.com.
If you have a debit card, you're used to spending money. But what if your card actually ended up earning you money? That's not exactly normal, but that's what you can get at A&B. It's called Kasasa Cashback Checking. Don't mind the weird name. What you need to know is that it's a free account with cash rewards. Use your debit card for everyday purchases, and we'll pay you cash back every month. If that doesn't sound like normal banking, well, guess what? We're not a normal bank. So contact A&B today and ask for Kasasa or visit ANB.com. Equal housing lender, member FDIC.
What can you expect on the Louis Bellina Show, presented by B&B Automotive and Superior Auto Service? Great question, Bob. Well, we talk a lot of Aggie football. We're fans of Aggie basketball, Aggie baseball, too. From time to time, we'll venture into the lifestyles portion. Sure, maybe it's not sports, but things in the life of every sports fan. We also love to take your text messages, great guests from around the country. That's what you can expect from the Louis Bellina Show, presented by B&B Automotive and Superior Auto Service.
I hopped off the plane at LAX with a dream, my cardigan. Welcome to the land of fame excess.
Eric, did you request this song?
I absolutely did not, but this is a banger, David. Don't disrespect it.
What is it called?
Party in the USA.
Who sings it?
Miley Cyrus. 2009, I think? 2008? Something like that. I was young.
You're like smiling. Look, how old are you?
I'm 23.
23. Nick, how old are you?
23 as well.
I can guarantee you did not jam this song, Nick, back in the day. That's just my guess.
I did not. No, I do remember when it came out, like, I guess 2009, like Eric said. I was probably in middle school or something, but...
Keep in mind, I have an older sister too, David, so she loved Hannah Montana growing up. Throwing her on the spot right there.
Yeah, I mean, look, I get it. It's your age group, but, like, the fact that this is more for Sean at the mothership, and Sean, I'm kind of playing here. Don't get me wrong. I'm assuming most of our audience between 41 and 72. I'm assuming nobody between 41 and 72 is jamming this Miley Cyrus song unless they're in their car with their kids. That's just my opinion of the situation. If I'm
mix
wrong,
it up, though, every now and then.
Yeah,
Sean does a great job of that.
Sean is on the ones and twos. He's doing great. I'm having fun here because it's an open segment.
I would never listen to this by myself. I'll give you that.
I think you have.
You think I have?
I think you have. I bet you've sung it in your car before.
By myself?
Yeah.
That's bold.
And it's true. TexAgs Radio, we're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. So an interesting headline popped up on my feed today, and it says, Ed Reed apologizes for NSFW rant about conditions at Bethune-Cookman upon arrival. NSFW stands for... Thank you very much. Not safe for work. I have not watched the entire video, but I kind of understand the video. I covered Ed for one season at the Texans. Was not my favorite guy to cover, but whatever. He's a Hall of Famer. In the video, he says, I'm out here walking with the football team picking up trash. I should just leave. I'm not even under contract yet. And apparently there was a little bit more to it, where obviously it's NSFW. So he had to apologize. In regards to my social media comments about the university staff and other institutions, I would like to sincerely apologize to all the BCU staff, student, and alumni for my lack of professionalism. My language and tone were unacceptable as a father, coach, leader. My passion for our culture betterment and bringing our foundation up got the best of me, and I fell victim while engaging with antagonists on social media as well. I am fully aware of the hardworking folks at our school who are also fighting to make things better and more financially sound. I am encouraged from my communication with my AD and our administration understand it's a work in progress. My passion is about getting and doing better, and that goes for me too. So I started watching one of the videos today. I don't know if there's multiple videos, but the one I watched was clean, was not NSFW, and I kind of understood what he was upset about. But again, like, you're brand new to school, like, calm down, bro. But he was more saying, when I was an athlete, when I was a player, and we cut our tape, I didn't just leave it on the floor for somebody to pick up, like to tape off your body. We put it in the trash, right? Have some self-pride in keeping your locker rooms like a Bull Durham scene, right? Put your trash in the locker, in the trash can. Thank you. That was more the point that I got from it, but apparently went even deeper. I just find it interesting. You're brand new to the gig, and you hadn't even signed yet, and you're already complaining. Well, maybe that's not the place for you. And maybe that's the only place you get a job at this point. It is becoming popular for Hall of Fame players to get these opportunities, and Deion made the most of it. And I know he had coached, but not at that level. So this is something I think we're going to see a lot more. Eddie George, Ed Reed, Deion Sanders. We'll see how that list continues to move on. As I mentioned earlier, I wanted to talk about theme or being patient with coaching. Billy was on the show yesterday, and he talking about this desk and what we do here, and not jumping to conclusions. Now, sports radio and social media is a lot of times stream of conscious, what you feel in the moment. What you feel in the moment, though, could have effects long-term, right? Like, I remember what you said here or whatever. And I think my point about this all is, a few weeks ago, many of us had written the story on this Aggie basketball team. Well, if they can't beat Wofford, what are they going to do in the SEC? Well, we've seen how they've started SEC play. By the way, it could still go south. It could still go great. They could still win the whole darn thing, right? Last year, stream of conscious during the 8-game losing streak, it is obviously a valid thought to wonder, are they ever going to win another game? That is a valid thought. But if you're patient, you saw how that season finished. A play away from winning the NIT, a team that was robbed of an NCAA tournament berth. So, but patience in talking about the totality of the season. To be very honest with you, this year, I tried to be patient. It was difficult with football. But even last year with football, after some losses early on, like, had you written the story after the Mississippi State loss and the Arkansas loss, that season could have gone down real south, right? But they found a way against Bama. So, and again, baseball. We talked about it yesterday. Had you graded the baseball team with some of their early non-conference games, the Frisco Showcase, right? Then we would have had a different, look at how we felt about that team after that weekend in Frisco to how we felt about them in June. Notice I said June. What happens during June? The College World Series, right? So patience about teams, especially when there's, in this new world where rosters are being made over, patience goes a long way. And there are certain coaches that I believe deserve much more grace. Buzz is one of those guys. Buzz seems to routinely have his teams get better as the year goes on. And that should be the game plan for all teams. It's not always the case, but we've seen it time and time again. Buzz's team's getting better. So my hope and my promise is for us on this show to have a little bit more patience. And that goes both ways. You're on this huge win streak. Enjoy the win streak because, there's too many bad things that have happened in A&M sports over the last year to not enjoy the good times. So I enjoyed a win, even though the UMass game in football wasn't that exciting. It was just a win. I enjoyed it. I definitely enjoyed the LSU game. Not going to apologize about it. Enjoy the win. But also there is this patience factor when things go south. Let's see how things develop because the narrative is never completely done. And when it comes to this basketball team, this next stretch right here, these next 3 games, if they go 0-3, or they go 3-0. If they go 0-3, the season's not over. They can still have a chance for the tournament. Let's see how things develop. Just as if they win these next 3, you have a lot more room to play with, right? If you win 2 out of these next 3 games, you're feeling really good about where you are. All right, let's hit a break. When we come back here on TexAgs Radio, Pat Henry will be here in studio. Got some questions for Coach. But right now, we need caller number 1. We're going to give you a free car wash right now from Aggieland Express Car Wash in South College Station off of William D. Fitch in Greens Prairie. Aggie owned and operated with the friendliest staff and a personal touch. They offer a monthly membership. We'll give the first caller a free car wash right now from Aggieland Express in South College Station. 979-693-1150.
He's gone to L.A. to interview Hugh Jackman, Brad Pitt, and Mark Wahlberg. Now he hangs out with Billy and O.B. It's David Nuño with TexAgs Radio on the Zone.
Here's Brad Beard of Intercon.
If you have considered replacing the windows in your brick veneer home, you may have been told that it would be necessary to either remove the brick or tear up the inside of your window box. You need to know that Intercon replaces windows and brick every day, and we don't tear up anything except the window which is being removed. By installing windows every day, Intercon personnel have worked out methods which result in the replacement windows being at least as neat and effectively installed as your windows were when they were new. This means that Intercon can furnish and install replacement windows which exceed today's tighter standards for efficiency. They look and perform just as well as the best windows in brand new homes. Call Intercon or visit our showroom and we will furnish you customer references for homes you can look at and homeowners you probably know who can tell you that Intercon can solve your window problems without wrecking your home or your budget, just as we did theirs. Intercon will furnish a free quote and we won't pressure you to buy.
Whether you have new construction or an existing home, let the fine folks from Intercon help your home energy efficiency year-round. Call Brad Beard of Intercon today at 823-3639. That's 823-3639.
Have you heard?
Heard about what?
Have you heard about Hullabaloo Avenue?
Hullabaloo Avenue? What's that?
Hullabaloo Avenue is home to Aggieland's most diverse selection of officially licensed Texas Aggie gear. And right now they're having their biggest sale of the year with savings up to 40% off. Hullabaloo Avenue has something for the Aggie in your life. Fathers, mothers, brothers, sisters, cousins, and friends too. Find deals on vintage Aggie clothing, Adidas ball caps and hats, t-shirts, collectibles, and more. All 40% off. Hullabaloo Avenue on George Bush across from Kyle Field. Look for the big green sign next to TexAgs.
It's back bigger and better than ever. Chili Fest 2023, March 31st and April 1st in Snook. Want to be the first to know the lineup? Be at Shiner Park Saturday, January 21st at 7 o'clock for the 2023 Chili Fest lineup reveal party, followed by a live performance from the Huser Brothers. It's the 2023 Chili Fest lineup reveal, Saturday, January 21st at Shiner Park in Northgate. With your home for A&M Athletics, The Zone 1150 AM and 93.7 FM.
Keyshawn Johnson, Jay Williams, and Max Kellerman.
When your girls were little, what type of fruit did you give them? Did you give them certain fruits?
I tried to give them all types of different kinds of flavors and spices and everything. And as soon as they got older, right? Like, because my oldest is 14, my youngest is 7. Everything is beige that they eat. Bread, pasta. They don't want sauce on it. They don't want, it's too spicy.
Little butter or olive oil, that's call it a day. Yeah, the reason I asked, because I was going to say, is it a crime if you take your kids' frozen fruit and bring it to work to eat? Is that a crime? Because I just had some frozen grapes.
Yeah, good, right?
I'm like, I forgot how good these are.
Oh, yeah. So good. Yeah. OCU Manura with us. What's going on, OC?
I love frozen grapes myself, man. They're like candy, right? You stick them in the freezer, you bring them out there. Incredible.
Spend your mornings with Keyshawn, Jay Will, and Max, powered by WC Tractor. Mornings from 5 to 8 here on The Zone.
We're back, TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. So poor Coach Henry. Coach Henry's here in the studio. Brought to you by Brazos Running Company, your local Aggie-owned specialty running store. Save 10% in store when you mention the code TexAgs10 and check out the new location there at Century Square. I feel bad because Every time you come in here, I got like questions, like, not for radio, like, hey man, I'm starting to run again. Like, and it's like, you go to the store, you try to buy some information. Coach Henry comes in here. I'm trying to learn. So I'm trying to learn from you, sir.
Yeah, I understand.
How you been?
It's been fine. It's people that go out and start running again. You read a little bit and you want those things to happen, and you really. We were just like we were talking. I was telling you that everything's a time. Everything's about time.
I have learned with my old age that you have to, and I just had a segment on patience, but you have to be patient with anything fitness related at a certain point in your life, really throughout your life. But like with strength training, it takes years to put on muscle. For endurance training, it takes years to be able to do it. Some people are born with gifts, but most of us have to really work with it.
Yeah, I see that stuff on TV, how you're going to change your abdominals quickly.
Yeah, in a week.
Yeah, it isn't going to happen. And that's the way with all training. Those guys who go in the weight room know how hard it is to affect change. And it's the same with running. It's the exact same thing with running. It just is a time factor.
I think it's also probably interesting, especially in the track and field world, where those who do, I'm sure there's a strength training program, but depending on what you run, how different that can be per discipline.
Yeah, Eric's lifting right, and he's more of a circuit lifter, where and he does some Olympic lifts, but then some of our people are Olympic lifts only, of course. Some of our sprinters, of course, no, not of course. Our sprinters are almost all Olympic lift, but our strength coaches do a great job of putting variations of things in. We've learned over the years that you can't always just get under a bar and think if you get under that bar it's going to affect the change that you want. There's a lot of other factors that you got to strengthen, you got to do before you can get under a bar and be effective even.
100%. So how did Arkansas go?
It was a good first competition for us. We, of course, we've been training since the first day of school. So, on my logs, that's about, I'm on week 23, I think, right now, and we have our first competition after about week 23. Our distance people had a season already, and then they have a little bit of break, and then they come back. So their season is different than the sprint people who are just getting started, and our throws are just getting started. So we have different groups within our team that have to do things different than others.
Yeah, so it's pretty quick to have a race for the sprinters, right? But you expect them to be working at a certain level, ramp up before you actually start your first real practice.
Yeah, the mental aspect of racing is as much of what we're working on as the physical. The mental part of putting yourself in a position to get absolutely the best out of yourself on that day, that's very difficult. I mean, that's really difficult. But that's what we're trying to do is if you can get the best out of yourself on that day, then the training you do after that is going to build on that. It's going to continue to build on that. So in 8, 10, 12 days from then, you can think about having another great effort that would be maybe better than that effort.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to ask you about a couple of performers from the past weekend.
Yep.
Bara Sojakova.
Yeah. Hurt for a year. Yeah. We brought her in, and Bara we saw immediately that she can really jump. Europeans have a different pattern of jumping sometimes, and she's one of those. She's very fast at the bar. She comes at the bar really fast. But to jump 6 foot on her first weekend, that's a significant jump. That puts her in that top 5 or 6, and she's going to jump higher, I think. Yeah, she's got a good training partner, Lamara.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Good, great partner right there. How about Eric Hemphill, who is a freshman from Brenham?
Yeah, Eric is he was going to play football in college, and then he ran pretty well late in his track season, and so he decided, no, I think I want to try to run track and field, and he's going to be good. He's got the mentality. He's one of those guys that, it means everything to him, and he talks about Brenham, Texas every day at practice, every single day at practice. It's about, those guys, their high schools, they still talk about their high schools and their teams.
Yeah.
That's good.
Brenham cranks out some athletes, don't they?
Oh, yeah, they've had some good people. Over the years they've had, I started my college career in Brenham.
Is that right?
Yeah, I was coached at Blinn Junior College and before I went to LSU. So I love that little town, and there's some great people over there.
How about with Eric Hemphill? Do you see him contributing throughout the year?
Yeah, I anchored him right off the bat on this 4x4 this weekend, and that's the only event he ran, but he ran low 46 seconds on the end of it, and really he was kind of by himself. He was out probably 6 or 8 meters. So, I was really pleased that he did that on that in that competition. I think because our first 2 legs of our B team, B group, they're really not a B group. We have some depth there on the men's side. The first 2 legs on the B team were faster than the A group. So we have 6 or 8 guys that I think are going to be competitive to find out who's that top 4. Ladies, it's a little bit different right now. I think we have 4, maybe 5 that can run on that 4x4, and we ran decent this weekend. We got beat by Arkansas, but we know where we're going to get better, and I didn't run them in any open events this last weekend either. We just ran one event. So we start changing a little bit when we go to Texas Tech this weekend.
Yeah, no doubt about that. I know Lamar didn't run this past weekend, but can you kind of shed a little light on Lamar?
Yeah, she didn't jump.
On her schedule moving forward.
Yeah, we're gonna be a little bit. We're gonna back off and make sure that when the big meets come along, she's ready to go. Mm-hmm. It's hard for a person who's a 6'4", 6'5" high jumper to go into a meet where everybody's jumping 5'10" or 5'8". It's not an environment. Elite people have to compete against elite people, right. Or you're drugged down. So I'm a little bit careful about that, especially with one like this one. And I think that her competitions are in front of her. She doesn't need to compete right now.
I think it's such a great point too, because there are also athletes that probably need to compete at a different level so they don't get their confidence shaken as well.
Yeah, there's people that need more competitions, and there's people that need less competitions. Some people need a little bit more rest in between competitions than other people. The ballistic events are a little bit different than middle distance events. Throwing events are much like a sprint event. So you gotta balance it.
You have quite a bit of depth there with your distance side of things, Eric being one of those. Just how important is that to have that kind of depth?
Yeah, this is an extremely competitive conference at this level, and Eric ran very well this weekend. Eric ran 4:02 mile, and speaking, he was out in front of everybody. I guess, I don't know, the second place was 4:04, I think. But Eric beat the group pretty well and looked good posturally. He looked really good, and that's the key for Eric. And as long as people keep their brains in what they're doing, a lot of people have the opportunity to do very well.
Eric, this is where I bring you into the show, buddy. What do you got for Coach?
Yeah, so Coach, people do not understand how difficult it is to travel every single week, and now that we're in an environment where we're forced to do that, not having an indoor, do you look at that as kind of maybe a little bit of a bummer because you don't get home competitions, or are you looking at it in a way like, well, we get a better opportunity because we're forced to go to bigger meets now?
Yeah, it's not something that we want to do, It's not an environment that we want to have, but it's a have to environment. So we're building a new facility, and it's going to be really nice, and so it forces us to do what we have to do. So we're on the road every weekend this year, including outdoor, because the building that they're building for indoor takes up an area for our throwing events that have to be moved. So, it affects us all the way around. But I'll go backwards to 09 and 10. We had no indoor facility, and our outdoor facility, we couldn't have a track meet on our outdoor facility either. So we traveled every meet for probably 5 years when I first got here, every weekend. We kind of got to where it was a huge challenge for us, a fun challenge. We have to make this a fun challenge. And we were the national champions.
That's right.
We didn't compete at home. We kind of lost our home community of people that come and watch track and field, and that's one of the biggest things about this is it's hard to go leave people that come to track meets. They have nowhere. They don't come to track meets this year, and that's not good.
Yeah.
But I think they understand it. We all understand it. You have to understand it. It's a fact. So we're going to deal with it.
Eric, any more?
Yeah, some great performances. We were talking about Barr clearing 6 feet, which was huge. Jennair winning the long jump. Kennedy and Tierra sweeping the 300. You got Connor in the 60. And then 4 of the 5 milers PRing. So what is something that you have noticed in practice early on that gets you excited for this season?
Well, this group seems to be a little more cohesive. Some years you have groups that they're not as they don't know each other as well as other years, and that is a factor in track. And this group seems to be working at trying to develop those friendships and understandings of each other. And I push it. I talk about it, and you know that, Eric. We talk about you gotta know the person sitting next to you, and so I think that's something that we got to get better at. But the team is working on it. I can see that they are working on it, and that I think that will help us as we go. This kind of environment, having to be with each other week in and week out, forces that, and I think it might help you.
Coach Henry, thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
We'll talk to you next week, all right?
All right, look forward to it.
And our thanks to Brazos Running Company, your local Aggie-owned specialty running stores. Yeah, thank you so much for all that you do. Save 10% in store when you mention the code TexAgs10 and check out the new location at Century Square. That's Coach Henry. We'll be back here for one final segment in the second hour, and then third hour loaded with guests is next on TexAgs.
I'm Chelsea Reber with your community calendar on the Zone. The Brazos Valley Astronomy Club invites the public to hear Mark Spearman, Ph.D., discuss the multiverse, science or pseudoscience. The free event is Friday, January 20th at the Physics and Astronomy Teaching Observatory at 7:30 p.m. More information is at brazosvalleyastronomyclub.org. A&M Consolidated Fine Arts presents Mamma Mia the Musical. Performances run January 26th through the 28th. Purchase your tickets online at consolfinearts.ludus.com. The Brazos Valley African American Museum invites you to their 22nd annual appreciation event on Saturday, February 25th. Purchase your tickets online at bvaam.org. Listen to the NFL playoffs on 1150 AM and 93.7 FM thanks to Hungry Howie's. You can hear the divisional round, championship weekend, and the Super Bowl every game on the Zone. That's your community calendar. I'm Chelsea Reber on the Zone.
Since 1957, Slovakic Sausage in Snook has been making the best tasting sausage in Texas from the same family recipe. Slovakic is the official sausage of Texas A&M Athletics. Whether it's from the grill to the family gathering or from the pit to the neighborhood party, serve the sausage voted best in the Brazos Valley. Serve Slovakic. Be sure to come in and check out their full-service meat market, relax on the front porch, or grab some fresh kolaches from their bakery on your way out. Slovakic Sausage, Highway 60 in Snook.
As a real estate agent in the Brazos Valley, we have a few questions for you. Do you desire to grow your business? Are you passionate about exceeding client expectations? Would you rather work with a local company backed by Compass, the largest independent brokerage in America? What are you waiting for? Lone Star Realty Group, a strong local brand with instant recognition, awaits your move. Contact William Sears at LoneStarBCS.com. Your success is just a click away. Lone Star Realty. Experience, integrity, results. An equal opportunity employer.
Does your bank know your first name? At Normandy State Bank, they do. Normandy State Bank is locally owned, controlled, and operated. This local personal touch means banking decisions are made on site the same day you request it. Normandy State makes banking easy. They're open Saturdays, offer state-of-the-art online banking, bill paying, fund transfers, check and statement images. Normandy State, where customer service is their priority. Normandy State Bank, rock solid. Member FDIC.
Looking for podcasts of TexAgs Radio, The Louis Bellina Show, or Chip Howard? Look inside the Pod Center at zone1150.com. Don't miss a single rant, guest, or moment. You can download or subscribe to any and all of your favorite shows inside the Pod Center at zone1150.com. There's also a special selection where you can find select interviews from David, Louis, and Chip. Look up Zone interviews inside the Pod Center at zone1150.com. Download or subscribe, but don't miss out. Check out the Pod Center at zone1150.com.
TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Getting a bunch of people setting a calendar for you without checking to see if this time is good. Like, why would you send me that? Like, no. How about you ask me if this is available time? Sorry for complaining here on the program. Nick, did you get that invite as well?
I sure did.
Yeah.
Hey, people listening, text in your suggestions for the new intro. That'd be helpful. Song suggestions maybe.
Well, not Dave and Edmund, who used to text the show every day about it, although he does have a text message that has my attention. But, like, what do you want to hear? We're going to revamp the intro.
I have some ideas. I think it appeals to I think we should keep trophies, because that seems to be...
People really like that song at the end.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so we're going to be working on our new intro. It's not going to happen overnight, but... yeah, we're working on that. Let's go to Eric Casares there at the News and Social Center. I got a text message from the aforementioned Dave in Edmond.
Yep, David Edmond said, this football offseason will be absolute torture for me. I'm used to arguing all the haters and explaining how we can win the West. Well, they broke me last season. I refuse to believe any of the hype. I fully expect 8-4. I will try my best to not be negative, Nancy, but it will be really, really hard. Jimbo deserves any and all heat he gets. I can love him and still give him heat. His performance the last 2 seasons are Fs in my book. Well, you are being a little bit of negative Nancy there.
No, I can understand an F last year, but I don't think the 8-4 year was necessarily an F. But whatever. Here's the thing. You all fan how you want to fan, right? And you text how you want to text. You're all your own people. For me, I think next year could be good. I could also make an argument of why it won't be good. I'm not into the prediction game on January the 17th. I don't know, right? Like, I think the offense is going to be better. I think the defense still has to get some holes plugged in. But, like, I think they'll be better than they were last year. Could that be 8-4? Yeah. Could it be 10-2? Yeah, it could be. I don't know. Nobody knows. Nobody knows. I'm not going to get a hot sports take. We're going to go 11-1 next year. I don't know. I don't care. I mean, I do care, but I don't. The prediction of it doesn't matter at this point for Texas A&M. You've got to build a consistent winner, and right now you got to figure out how to be better than 5-7. I think they're going to be better than 5-7 next year. The offense is going to score some points next year. That's my thought today. I may go to the spring game here in a couple months and be like, I don't know, man. It seems like more of the same thing. Or I might be like, dude, it was a windstorm and it didn't matter. Connor threw for 500. It was amazing. Le'Veon, here's the thing. When there's question marks about your team, they're questions for a reason. I think Le'Veon Moss, Amari Daniels, and Reuben Owens are going to be awesome in the backfield. But they got to prove it as the guys. Devon A-Chain proved it. So these guys have got to prove it. The offensive line, who got a little better as the year went on, has a lot to prove to me. I think they're going to be way better. They got a lot to prove to me. I feel pretty good about our wide receivers. I feel pretty good about our quarterback. But again, I want to see it over 12 games. So I understand, the BAS that you may have, and many people have, like expecting an 8-4 season. I get it. It's the SEC. I get it. Not all of us get to take on the Big 12. Sorry, TCU. But it is what it is. And you fan how you have to. I fan hoping for... I'm going to be more optimistic, but that optimism is not blind and stupid. You got a lot to prove to me, folks. All right, when we come back here on TexAgs Radio, a little Aggie basketball talk with John Puglisi. That and more next on TexAgs Radio.
On Sports Talk, Chip visits with former Congressman and basketball star Tom McMillan on his mission to change the NCAA.
They got to win the trust back of a lot of schools across the country. That's one of the things that's happened is, at this convention, a lot of ADs don't even go.
Yes.
They don't think it has any relevance to them.
Sports Talk, holding individuals and institutions accountable since 1994. Weekdays from 4 to 6 on The Zone.
The NLS Braille and Talking Book program gives patrons with visual or physical disabilities the freedom to read their way.
If you want to read in electronic braille, you can. If you want to read on your phone, you can. If you want to read in heart print, you can.
Everybody can read the way they want to read using this program.
For more information about the National Library Service for the Blind and Physically Handicapped Library of Congress, visit loc.gov/thatallmayread.
You can listen to your favorite shows, Louie, Chip, TexAgs, or Paul Feinbaum online at radioaggieland.com or zone1150.com. This is KZNE College Station Bryan, Aggieland's home for sports.
From WTAW, I'm Chelsea Reber with a news update on The Zone. Texas A&M starts spring semester classes today, which means more students in and around the Northgate District across campus. College Station City Manager Brian Wood says the densely populated area is a tremendous opportunity.
There are not many 100,000 plus person cities that can say we have, a downtown-like environment with high rises and more to come. So it's not just, okay, how do we make sure everything is okay? It's how do we capitalize this?
Wood says they're also working closely with the university since student housing options continue to expand in the Northgate District. An 18-year-old Caldwell man is arrested less than a week after a shooting at the Pearl Apartments on Harvey Road, where one person was shot in the parking lot. According to the College Station police arrest report, the 13-year-old victim who was shot in the leg was able to identify one of two people who was with the shooter. That led to the arrest of 18-year-old Jalen McClendon for aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, deadly conduct, and possession of marijuana. He's held in lieu of bonds totaling $279,000. A bill has been filed that would allow ranked choice voting in Texas.
Ranked choice is when you vote for who you want, followed by your second, third, and fourth choice for however many candidates are on the ballot. The goal is to avoid runoffs. Austin State Representative Vicki Goodwin says House Bill 259 would apply to nonpartisan elections only.
Austin just had an election for mayor and city council members where we had a runoff election, and that cost $1 million just for the runoff, and turnout was 15%.
Ranked choice is being used in over 20 U.S. cities. Goodwin, a Democrat, says voters in Austin passed ranked choice voting in 2021, but it wasn't used due to concern that Texas doesn't allow it. Barbara Schwartz, TSN News.
For more news, go online to WTAW.com. I'm Chelsea Reber on The Zone.
As a real estate agent in the Brazos Valley, we have a few questions for you. Do you desire to grow your business? Are you passionate about exceeding client expectations? Would you rather work with a local company backed by Compass, the largest independent brokerage in America? What are you waiting for? Lone Star Realty Group, a strong local brand with instant recognition, awaits your move. Contact William Sears at LoneStarBCS.com. Your success is just a click away. Lone Star Realty. Experience, integrity, results. An equal opportunity employer.
Since 1957, Slovacic Sausage in Snook has been making the best tasting sausage in Texas from the same family recipe. Slovacic is the official sausage of Texas A&M Athletics. Whether it's from the grill to the family gathering or from the pit to the neighborhood party, serve the sausage voted best in the Brazos Valley. Serve Slovacic. Be sure to come in and check out their full-service meat market, relax on the front porch, or grab some fresh kolaches from their bakery on your way out. Slovacic Sausage, Highway 60 in Snook.
Does your bank know your first name? At Normandy State Bank, they do. Normandy State Bank is locally owned, controlled, and operated. This local personal touch means banking decisions are made on site the same day you request it. Normandy State makes banking easy. They're open Saturdays, offer state-of-the-art online banking, bill paying, fund transfers, check and statement images. Normandy State, where customer service is their priority. Normandy State Bank, rock solid. Member FDIC.
Good morning, sports fans. I'm Sean Burnett with your Aggie Sports Minute on The Zone. This Sports Minute is brought to you by Hilco Metal Roofing and Supply. Call 936-825-0500 or click hilcosupply.com. Texas A&M men's basketball has received 5 votes in this week's AP poll. The men will look to keep their streak alive as they take on Florida for the second time this year on Wednesday at Reed Arena with a 6 o'clock tip. Head coach Buzz Williams about Florida on his radio show last night.
So since we beat them, they've won all 3 games. They beat Georgia, they won at LSU, and then they beat Missouri on Saturday. So what our staff has done, I guess it would be Sunday and today, is diagnose our game, of course, and what our initial plan was, and then study specifically what they have done the last 3 games.
And that's been your Aggie Sports Minute, brought to you by Hilco Metal Roofing and Supply. On The Zone, I'm Sean Burnett.
Start your sports day with Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max, powered by WC Tractor. Weekday mornings from 5 to 8 on 1150 AM and 93.7 FM. Or just tell your smart speaker to play Zone 1150. WC Tractors, your local award-winning Kubota and New Holland dealer. Call them with your questions at 1-888-8-TRACTOR. That's 1-888-8-TRACTOR. Or check them out online at WCTractor.com. Rise and shine. Weekday mornings from 5 to 8 with Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max from ESPN Radio. Powered by WC Tractor. Here on The Zone.
Good song. Took me a second to realize which one it was. TexAgs Radio. Presented by David Gardner's Jewelers here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Basketball, really good, really fun right now. About a month ago, wasn't having a lot of fun. Let's go to the hotline. John Puglisi joining us to talk about all things. What's going on, my friend?
That's like the story of the ebbs and flows of the last 2 years. Like really fun, not so much fun, really fun again. Hopefully they can keep it rolling here because they certainly have a little bit of secret sauce going.
So it's about to get interesting. The schedule is going to get they're going to go up a playing weight a little bit. But how sustainable is this run? And I'm not talking about necessarily the win streak. I'm talking about the kind of momentum in the tier in the SEC that they're in. How long is this sustainable in your eyes?
Well, I mean, the thing about college basketball, and if you watch all the games and you stay glued in, is defense travels. So the best defensive teams in the country, no matter if you're playing at home or you're playing on the road or you're playing conference or playing non-conference, defense travels. And what I will say is that in this win streak, which I think is really important right now, going into much higher level games in the SEC, is their defense is traveling. There is a connectivity to this group, and some people call it toughness. Some people say they're just working hard, but it's a connection where it truly looks like no matter who they put on the court, all 5 guys are in tune and connected on the defensive end. that's leading to the offensive end, David. Like I think that's the one thing that everyone needs to recognize is it is much easier to score in transition, to get, easier baskets on the offensive end when you're not having to take the ball out of the net and like set your offense, right? And I've talked about when their guards are really strong rebounders, you got Boots rebound the ball. I mean, he took the ball away from Henry Coleman a few times in the game against South Carolina so that he could lead a break. And you saw guys running and sprinting and getting to their spots. And I think that defensive connectivity is now going into the offensive end.
I'm glad you brought that up because we talked about connectivity early on, and it was never an effort thing, right? Buzz teams are always going to give you the effort, but they weren't connected. Kind of explain the difference, because you got to know where your left hand is when your right hand's over here, kind of thing.
Yeah, especially the way that Buzz's defenses play, right? When you are forcing teams to take threes and there's no ball pressure. Okay, then the ball goes from side to side, and it's an easy three. But when there's ball pressure, it takes a little bit longer for the offense to throw it from side to top to side. And so there's a connectivity between those guys guarding those perimeter positions. It's also been harder for teams to penetrate. So while the team may give up some baseline penetration, their rotations are quicker, they're faster, guys are in the right spots. And I'd say that this team has started to figure out who is elite on the ball and helping those guys who maybe aren't. Like Dexter Dennis should never need help, right? Like he just shouldn't. But a guy maybe like Henry Coleman, when he's guarding a smaller guy, he may need more help off the bounce. So I think it's a bigger connection where these guys are now understanding who each other are, and they know when to help, when to support, when that person doesn't need it, and then they're just flying around. Like when you're comfortable with your teammates, you can make. It's probably going to sound the wrong way, but you can make mistakes offensively when you know your teammates are there to back you up.
Yeah,
and I think they are making fewer mistakes, but I think they're so connected that those mistakes, like no one knows that those mistakes are there. You overplay a passing lane, guy penetrates, someone helps. Well, that guy who overplayed the passing lane and didn't get the ball, he rotates into the paint. He takes away, the helper's man. So like it's help the helpers help the helpers help. Like that's how five guys stay connected on the defensive end.
Let's continue with the connectivity theme and with Julius Marble and Henry Coleman. There was a time where Julius was kind of involved, not involved. There was a time Henry was involved and not involved. Right now, Henry Coleman has found his groove with Julius Marble alongside him. How big of a difference has that been with those two on at the same time?
I mean, it's huge because you have two guys who are. See, the interesting thing about those two is they're both a little bit undersized, and don't take that the wrong way. Like these are huge humans, right? But in the grand scheme of SEC bigs, these are two guys who maybe give up an inch or two, but they're physically strong. What they figured out is how do we play with each other? How do we get more opportunities in the paint while we're two big humans taking up space? Because Henry Coleman is not your typical SEC foreman. He's just not. He's more inclined to play around the rim. So these two together have figured out, okay, if I stretch it here, Julius is going to have more options down low. I dive to the rim, that's going to take away a defender, and then I'm going to be an offensive rebounding position. And Julius is doing the same thing. If I screen on the perimeter, Henry takes up space. Right, I give him a little bit of space. I give a guy like Wade Taylor some space. Then on anything around the rim, I've got weak side rebounding responsibilities. I'm there. Like these guys have just figured it out, and it's neither one of them. The thing I love about Julius Marble and Henry Coleman, neither one of them require the basketball to make an impact. They don't require the ball. You don't have to feed them. They're not always going to be the guy who scores every time. Now, Julius has been really good in the last couple games, really efficient. But these guys are rebounding the ball on the offensive end at a tremendously high level. And they're taking up space. They're making it harder for teams to guard penetration Because when you guard penetration, you leave one of them open. And so I think they're figuring it out together. I was really worried. I think I've told you this on air. I was worried about their ability to play together because what are they? They're 0 for 8 combined from 3. Henry Coleman's 0 for 7 and Marble's 0 for 1. That's today's basketball is a stretch format. Neither one of those are stretch guys. And I was worried about it. But to Buzz's staff's credit and to these two guys' credit, they have figured it out together.
Dexter Dennis is going to play defense and lead the way every game, no doubt about that. When he gives you double-figure scoring, and we talked about his scoring combined with Julius, but just look at Dexter for a moment. His kind of rebirth, because he had a little good run to start, and then start kind of awkward, then it got hot, then it kind of went away. What he's been doing recently, there's a reason, part of the reason for the success that they've been having is Dexter Dennis contributing on both ends.
I mean, no doubt. To me, Dexter, I think this team is full of really good players, and SEC level players. Dexter Dennis is their best pro prospect because his ability to defend on the perimeter, because of his ability to defend multiple positions, because of how strong, like physically strong this man is, and how athletic he is at the same time. And then when you combine that with a guy who takes open looks when they're there, when they're given to him, takes open looks from the 3-point line, and is not afraid to get the ball in a kick up, penetrate, make a play for himself around the rim. He's not afraid of contact. He is a special dude. I mean, there's a reason that he was a top 5 transfer in the transfer portal last year, and everybody wanted him. Like, this is a guy who's coming into his own and starting to figure it out with a team that now I think has carved out their roles. Like, know your role, do your job. I said that was a Bill Parcells thing, right? Like, know your role, do your job. And I think this team knows their role and is doing their job. And I'd say Dexter Dennis is a highlight of all that stuff, because I don't think he really knew where he fit when he got here and in the first 10 games of the year. But it's come on for sure.
So he went through a little stretch where he was struggling to score, right? He was off, very off. In your coaching days, what do you tell a guy that is more gifted than he is showing when he's in the middle of a storm? How do you get him out of that storm?
I think it's the same thing with Boots, right? Get to your money spots. Get to the spots where you can get a bucket. Don't be forced in to taking a 3. Like, sometimes it's like you were open, but there's a reason you were open, because defenses scout too, because your opponents scout too. And he had to get back to mid-range. He had to get back to getting in the flow of the game. If he takes a bunch of shots early from deep, that's not going to get him in a rhythm. It was the same thing with Boots. Boots was taking a lot of open threes, and he was forcing some of them, but a lot of them were given to him. And now he's like, you know what? I'm a mid-range guy. I'm going to get to the rim. I'm going to get out in transition. The best thing that this team has going for them right now is that they're outscoring their opponents in the first half by 92 points. And in the second half, they're outscoring teams by 75 points. When you're outscoring teams by 95 in the first half, you're connected on the offensive end early to start the game. I'll say that I think the best thing that this team did and this coaching staff did was remove Andre Gordon from the starting lineup, because guys like Dexter Dennis, because guys like Boots, because guys like Wade Taylor, they get in the flow earlier, and then they can bring in a guy like Andre Gordon, who is super valuable. Like, I'm not trying to negate Andre Gordon's value on this team. He is extremely valuable. But when he was starting, it wasn't giving those other guys a chance to get into the flow offensively. Andre doesn't need that. He's proven it in his career. He can come in any position and he can be successful. And I think guys like Dennis and like Radford and like Wade Taylor, they're guys who need to get in a flow early. And that's what I've seen out of those guys. And I've always said, guys, keep shooting, keep fighting, but get to your spots. Figure out where your spot is that hey, it's like the Jordan fadeaway, right? It's like getting on the block. You knew when Jordan got on the block, he got to his fadeaway game, wasn't going to be stopped. It's the same thing with anyone. Maybe not to that extent, right? You don't have the cream sky hook that's unguardable, but you do have a mid-range, a 2-dribble pull-up. You can get out in transition. You can affect the game by running the court, creating space, and then getting into a spot. So I think that's what you're seeing from a guy like Dexter Dennis, and why he's now coming into his own a little bit.
So let's keep with the defensive thought, but I want to go deeper. So we know that they're connected now. The teams are struggling with the pressure that they put. But what are they doing to take out elite scorers or teams' best players? Because I feel like it's been consistent. Every team they've played in the SEC, a guy that you expect to have a big game has struggled against the Aggie defense.
I think it's because they have options that they can put on these guys. The depth of this team, and I will say that I was worried that they were playing too many guys for a while, right? And they were trying to play too many guys. They've kind of got a 9-man rotation in here now, and I feel like they're comfortable there. They can put anyone on anyone in a lot of different situations. And then because of that, the way that they defend together, it's not like a one-on-one battle like you see in the NBA where one guy has to stop one guy. These guys, when an opponent's best player has the ball, watch the eyes, watch the bodies, watch how they jump to the basketball a little bit faster. You didn't see that earlier in the year. You saw a lot of getting beat off the dribble one-on-one. This team, because you have a guy like Boots who can really defend, Andre Gordon who can really defend, Dexter Dennis who can really defend. I mean, if Julius Marble doesn't pick up 3 fouls in the first minute against South Carolina of the second half, like he plays without fouling. And a lot of times in switches where he's having to guard smaller guys, Henry Coleman, same idea. And then you can bring guys off the bench like Washington, like Garcia, and you don't lose anything. You actually you contribute a little bit more because these guys are fresher. I think it's an all hands mentality that's really exciting for me. All hands are on deck. When that dude has the ball, we're going to stop him as a team, and you have help. And then that helper has help. You play shell drill when you're coaching, and in practices you do a lot of shell drill. And once you get into the penetration of the shell drill, the idea is that you help the help. You help the helpers help. You help the helpers help. Because you're always having to help somebody out. If that last helper doesn't help the guy who helped the guy on the roll, that guy is going to be open. But those aren't open right now because everyone is so well connected, and it's not just about one guy. But they certainly are turning more attention to these dudes who can get buckets in the SEC, and they're shutting them off pretty good.
We've talked about this before, but just help me understand what you think. Why do buzz teams get better? I don't know why I made it 2 different words with better, but why do they get better? Teams get better during seasons a lot of times, but there's a significant difference in the way buzz teams get as the year goes on. At least, 3 years in a row of this?
Yeah. I think it's because of the complicated nature of the way that their defense is connected. It's not a simple overplay passing lanes, don't give up baseline penetration, guard 94 feet, all that stuff. They have a lot of rotations that are very specific to their defense that you may not have been taught before. They give up things that you may not have given up before. They have what looks like, a matchup zone that's really a switching man-to-man, that's really a 2-3 zone. Like they play in the full court. There's just a lot of moving parts to this. And it takes a while to get comfortable in that as a player where you're no longer thinking, you're just reacting. Right? And so Buzz's staff has to put those guys in those positions on a daily basis where they learn to react. They don't learn to think, right? Or they're beyond thinking. It's just, it's part of them now, right? They just do it. And I think it takes them time. And so I think that's a big piece to it. I'll also say that for 4 years now, this team has basically started over from scratch. I mean, Andre Gordon is the only guy from his recruiting class. Mm-hmm. That's a big kicker here. And then in the following year, you don't have that many guys left from the following year. So you're having to start over a lot, and it's not as simple as here's the ball, let's go play. You've really got to teach these guys, hey, this is the expectation of you on the defensive end. This is how we're going to be successful. And then it's a lot of film study. It's a lot of work. And I think Buzz's teams, they adapt to it over time. And their staff does a really good job of building. I think we can finally maybe stop talking about the loss to Colorado and the loss to Murray State. That's my opinion. I think those are outliers, and I think when it comes to NCAA tournament time, if they can continue to win games in the SEC, right? Which last year we saw them start 4-1 or 5-1, whatever it was. Like, they're going to have to keep winning games. But I don't think we have to worry about those non-conference losses now. If they can stay along this path, they're not going to go undefeated in the league. They're not, all that stuff. But they can stay on this path if we can stop worrying about those games earlier.
Yeah, no doubt about this. Look, we're out of time, but I'll just ask you this: do you think Buzz? Does it take a special type of player to play for Buzz and maybe for Kelvin Sampson, or could a bunch of 5 stars flourish in this system? I mean, talent trumps all, but I feel like you have to have a different kind of hunger to work in this system. Is that fair?
I think you have to want to be a part of it, and not all 5 stars want to be a part of something that is this difficult. And that's just a reality. They have a lot of talented young people on this team, but you have to want to get this kind of coaching, this kind of mentorship. Buzz is a different cat, man. Like, I never had anyone who treated these guys the way that he does in terms of like what he's teaching on a daily basis. It all goes all over life, right? It's not just basketball. And so I think you have to want that. Your family has to want that. It does take a special student athlete.
Appreciate you, John. Thanks, man.
Thanks, David.
See you. John Puglisi there on the hotline. Right now we're talking about Caprock Health System, highly personalized emergency care. It's the place you need to go to in the Brazos Valley when you have an emergency situation. And we all know it's crazy, right? Like, you got to rush your kid to the emergency room. You want it to be quick. You want it to be painless. You want to get the test done. You want to just whatever you want to go through. You want it done immediately, and you want them to feel better as soon as possible. And that's what they pledge, and that's what they do there at Caprock Health System. They've got the most advanced CT scanner in the region, and they can provide updates right away. Like, it is a quick process out there. They've got hotel quality rooms, so if you need to stay there for a long time, you're going to stay in a place that's going to make you feel better just by being in a nice environment. That does make a huge difference. And when you're in an emergency situation, you're not going to have to wait in a crowded waiting room. They're going to take you right in and take care of you. They've got emergency care, hospital admission, lab and outpatient testing, radiology, and outpatient imaging as well. And they have cash prices that rival any competitor in the BCS, and they encourage you to see it for yourself. You've got Caprock Hospital in Bryant and Caprock 24-hour emergency center in College Station. Go check them out. Anytime you're in an emergency situation, they will make you feel better right away. It's Caprock Hospital in Bryant and Caprock 24-hour emergency center in College Station.
I'm Chelsea Reber with your community calendar on the Zone. Grimes County Go Texan Weekend, supporting the youth of Grimes County and Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo, is January 27th through the 29th at the Grimes County Expo Center in Navasota. Local high school sophomores, juniors, and seniors can apply for an all-expense-paid 10-day trip to Washington, D.C. Apply for the BTU Youth Tour by February 1st at btutilities.com/youth tour. Join Brazos Valley Community Connection for a one-day event with various community resources and agencies for those in need of services and or help. Friday, February 24th from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. at First Baptist Church in Bryan. For more information, email kduncan@sarkbv.org. Your home for Aggie Baseball is 1150 AM and 93.7 FM. Your home for Aggie Softball is Gospel 97.3 FM. You can hear both online at radioaggieland.com. That's your community calendar. I'm Chelsea Reber on the Zone.
Howdy, this is Brad Beard with Intercon. You would not buy a car, boat, or major appliance if the warranty only covered material, leaving you to pay labor, freight, and other charges. So don't make the same mistake when making a window or glass purchase. With many players in the window industry, limited warranties are truly limited. At Intercon, the warranties we provide cover 100% of the cost to get the product performing as it should. The labor and freight charges on other vendors' warranties can add up to hundreds, even thousands of dollars. Ask questions about other warranties offered. What costs are not covered? Are they transferable? What happens if a vendor goes out of business? Intercon does not represent any fly-by-night manufacturers who change their name and product line continually. We have long-standing relationships with our vendors and offer the best warranties in the business. Years down the road, Intercon will still be in the Brazos Valley, making sure the product we sold you lives up to expectations. Call Intercon and get the best product at the best price with the best service.
When it comes to windows for your most valuable asset, trust your local friends and neighbors from Intercon. Call Brad Beard with Intercon at 823-3639. That's 823-3639 for Intercon today.
Does your bank know your first name? At Normandy State Bank, they do. Normandy State Bank is locally owned, controlled, and operated. This local personal touch means banking decisions are made on site the same day you request it. Norman G. State make banking easy. They're open Saturdays, offer state-of-the-art online banking, bill paying, fund transfers, check and statement images. Norman G. State, where customer service is their priority. Norman G. State Bank, rock solid. Member FDIC.
You can listen to Aggie football, basketball, and baseball on your Amazon Dot or Echo. Step 1, say, Alexa, enable Zone 1150 skill. Step 2, anytime you want to hear fighting Texas Aggie football, Texas A&M women's basketball, or Aggie baseball, all you have to do is say, Alexa, play Zone 1150. It's that simple to listen to your favorite A&M teams that play on the Zone with your Amazon Dot or Echo. Make sure to say one time, Alexa, enable Zone 1150 skill. Then say, Alexa, play Zone 1150.
We're back. TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We're here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. So people were surprised Jim Harbaugh coming back to Michigan, and people don't like that guy. I don't know. I remember him from his playing days. I remember him with the Colts, and he was great on video games, really good on video games. I obviously remember him from the Bears and his time at Stanford, his time with the 49ers, and now obviously at Michigan. I like the guy. He's not the most personable dude, but there's something likable about him, and he's done a really good job at Michigan. I know the scrutiny why it's there, and for a long time he couldn't beat Ohio State, and now I think the big thing is his bowl record. I think he's, 1-7 in bowl games. I get that. There was a guy who coached here who didn't have a great bowl record that I wish we would have kept a little bit longer in retrospect, but neither here or there. The bottom line is Michigan's got a lot of guys coming back next year. They got a lot of dudes. And with the question mark, look, I don't know, is there ever really a question mark at Ohio State? I think their offense is going to be fine. They churn and burn wide receivers. They churn and burn quarterbacks. C.J. Stroud going to the league. We'll see how that affects them overall. But Michigan's in a great spot. They obviously lost an embarrassing. Well, it wasn't. They had more offense. They had enough offense to beat TCU. They just threw those dumb 2 pick sixes overall. But they've beaten their rival twice in a row, right? They've beaten Ohio State a couple years in a row. They've gotten to the playoffs. Next year could be a very good year for Michigan. Could be an absolutely great year for Michigan football. A lot of questions all around. But you got to, if you're Jim Harbaugh and there's no clear-cut NFL job, look, if I'm him, I got this window with Michigan. I'm trying to win. Obviously, you're trying to win, but you're trying to win with them. And then if you want to try to win again in the NFL because you got so close, then you try after you win at Michigan. But that team is close, even though the TCU game didn't go the way expected, and I don't think they were going to beat Georgia. I mean, next year they got to be one of your favorites. Have to be with all those guys coming back. And he's done a really good job there. We build statues for 10 wins every year, right? Let's get to 10 wins every year. He's done that. He's done a great job there. And, I know he's not the most likable guy, but, I don't expect my football coach to be, got invited over to my barbecues, right? I don't have barbecues, but if I did, can you win? Can you be a good guy? And, look, I know it was not a good look last year. What was he, in Minnesota, the day of National Signing Day or something like that? He ended up, staying with Michigan or not getting the gig or whatever it may have been. But they're in a really good spot, very good spot, because there are questions in the Big Ten. They're going to be your favorites. And there's really questions all around. So Michigan got to be happy with their situation. And use the Jim Harbaugh, not that he ever fell to the point that Jimbo fell to over this year, but that's a coach that, by the way, he's not even making more money than Mel Tucker. Let that sink in for a minute. He's not. He took a pay cut a couple years ago. He'll probably get an upgrade based on these last 2 years, but he's not getting paid more than Mel Tucker. But use him as an example of what it can be. Look, sometimes patience, as we mentioned with basketball, and even with football coaches, guys, can go a long way. When we come back here on TexAgs Radio, we're going to talk a little SEC basketball, really some SEC football too, with Adam Spencer of Saturday Down South. Those guys, sometimes I like it, sometimes not so much, because I've got the Aki goggles on. We'll talk to him. But right now, we are talking Fargo's Pit Barbecue, 1701 South Texas Avenue in Bryan. Open today, Tuesday through Saturday, 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. Closed on Sundays and Mondays. The phone number, 979-778-3662. Call them up for their specials because they sell out there. If you haven't been to Fargo's, you're missing out because they've got a small little place, but the food tastes real big. Like, it's just really good, and they give you a lot of food as well. And those specials on Tuesdays through Saturday are fantastic out there. On Tuesdays, which today's Tuesday, rib tips only offered and served on Tuesdays and Saturdays. And then tomorrow, jump on the chopped beef on a baked potato. So good. Fargo's, 1701 South Texas Avenue in Bryan. Without a doubt, the best barbecue in town. That's their trademark, because it's true, is Fargo's.
He's got the moves with the wit of Larry David.
What are you doing here?
Olin Buchanan, mornings at 8 on TexAgs Radio, here on The Zone.
Hey, if you're tired of chronic joint pain, knee pain, shoulder pain, pain in your hips or back, listen, I've got exciting news for you, and my mom needs to hear this as well. Hey, it's David Nuño. You don't have to go through another year in pain. Next generation pain management has arrived here. It's QC Kinetics. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in cutting-edge regenerative medicine. Regenerative medicine is amazing. It's an all-natural process that uses highly concentrated healing properties from your own body, putting them directly into your achy joints to restore and repair that damaged tissue. I'm talking about lasting pain relief with no drugs, no surgery, and no downtime. Pro athletes have been doing this for years. Now you can too. QC Kinetics has got 100 clinics in America, and now they're here with regenerative solutions to get you moving again this year pain-free. If you're sick of living with pain from arthritis or injury, call the local medical professionals at QC Kinetics for a free consultation. 979-452-6000. That's QC Kinetics, 979-452-6000. That's 979-452-6000.
Hi, this is Jeff Vanderwood with Veribank. Veribank is continuing to grow in the Brazos Valley with a brand new full-service banking center on Highway 6 in front of Academy. We have a team of genuine bankers specializing in personal and business banking, wealth management, and investor real estate lending ready to serve you. Veribank is here to help you succeed financially, and you can bank on it.
Visit Verabank.com today. That's VERA Bank.com. Verabank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender. Want $50,000 to develop your big idea? If you have an idea, a prototype, or a startup in manufacturing or industrial technologies, this message is for you. Design Spark is now accepting applications for their Accelerate Technology Incubator Program. Selected applicants will participate in the 12-month Accelerate program and qualify for up to $50,000 of in-kind funding. Application deadline is January 31st. If you are ready to accelerate your idea, go to designspark.com/accelerate to apply now.
It's back bigger and better than ever. Chili Fest 2023, March 31st and April 1st in Snook. Want to be the first to know the lineup? Be at Shiner Park Saturday, January 21st at 7 o'clock for the 2023 Chili Fest lineup reveal party, followed by a live performance from the Huger Brothers. It's the 2023 Chili Fest lineup reveal, Saturday, January 21st at Shiner Park in Northgate. With your home for A&M Athletics, The Zone 1150 AM and 93.7 FM.
So those rare moments when a coach leaves, even though he was clearly pushed, and both fan bases are happy. Pete Golding leaving Alabama.
The Paul Feinbaum Show, powered by Polaris Fund Center, 2 to 4 weekdays on The Zone.
Is it possible this is the worst song of the day? Is it possible? Nobody's going to answer? Nick? Eric? Sean? Anybody?
The worst song?
Of the day. Not of all time.
Ooh.
Not a big fan of that song.
Yeah, I mean, thinking about all the other songs, what was the last one that was playing? The one that you said
The champion song from whoever? Was it Carrie Underwood?
No, it was, I don't know. It was... All I know is it's on the new Guardians of the Galaxy movie that's coming out. It was on the trailer, and I love it. I just don't know the name of it. That was my
If
favorite.
it's on the Guardians of the Galaxy trailer, it's going to be a fantastic song because every soundtrack from that movie is great. It's TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We're here in the Rollo Insurance Studio, and Adam Spencer's probably thinking to himself, what kind of freaking show have I put myself into? So let's go to the hotline and talk to Adam Spencer of Saturday Down South. Adam, good morning, sir. How are you? And he doesn't hear me. So we'll get back to Adam Spencer here in a moment. All right. So a couple things I want to get into with Adam on the show is I want to talk about what some of the big storylines are happening in SEC basketball. Obviously, Kentucky is one of those that seems to come up quite a bit, so we'll talk to him about that. Oscar Tshiebwe, there's some noise about him out there. I think Coach Cal even recently said that he hasn't gone to the gym as much as he did last year. What is he trying to say? And we'll obviously talk about the impressive turnaround from Texas A&M basketball because it has turned around. It has absolutely turned around. And so we got to feel good about the direction Aggie basketball is headed. So we'll talk to him about that, his thoughts on all that. Because last year, let's not forget, it was the momentum, especially after the SEC tournament, told you one thing. I knew going into the SEC tournament, we all thought, all right, this is not going to go as planned. But then things did change. And at least for this season's sake, the defense is so creating offense for them, as I try to butcher that statement. Their defense is really their offense, right? Like, this is not a very advanced scoring team. There's not a lot of three-point shooters. There's not a lot of that, right? But they are so good at scoring on the break and putting teams on their heels. And that is one part of it that as the season goes on and guys start getting a little bit more comfortable, and then who's going to show up in the game, right? Is Hayden Hefner going to have his big day? Is Boots going to have his big day? So we'll have all of that as the season unfolds. I think we're allowed to try Adam Spencer again. I'm going to try Adam. Good morning. Are you there?
I got you.
Hey, bud. How you been?
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good, man. So we're talking.
I've been great.
You have?
Long time no talk. Good to be talking to you again.
Yeah, I think the last time we talked, you had some words about A&M at SEC Media Days, and we had to fix that. But I'm kidding with you, man. Let's talk about SEC basketball. What do you think is the biggest storyline developing so far here in the early part of conference play?
Just overall, just Alabama. I mean, incredible. A 40-point win over a good LSU team. That's nothing to turn your nose up at. I mean, I know LSU's off to a kind of a rough start to SEC play here, and they really could be sitting at 1-6 at this next couple of games that they have on their schedule. But this is a really good Alabama team. Brandon Miller, I mean, people are saying he's playing his way into the top 10 of the NBA draft. I think he's just playing his way into the top 5 of the NBA draft. Like, he's that good. And then y'all have been just a real upstart. I had written Texas A&M off after some of those non-conference losses, and so for them to be sitting here 4-0 in SEC play, I mean, that's a real credit to what Buzz Williams is doing, and keeping that pressure at the top of the SEC standings. That's important.
Yeah, let's go back to Bama for a minute because I mean, I think they got a couple of losses on the year, but they did beat the number 1 team in the country. They can score in so many different ways. They are Nate Oates, right? The way he wants them to play, they absolutely embody that. Is there a delay? Did we lose Adam once again? There you are.
Oh, I'm here. Yeah, I mean, the thing with Alabama that really impresses me is when they take care of the ball. Like, as good as Brandon Miller is, like when they in that 40-point win over LSU, they only had 8 turnovers. Like, that was really what won them that game, was only turning the ball over 8 times. And their 3 dominant ball handlers are Mark Sears, Jaden Bradley, who's a freshman, and Javon Quinterly. Those guys combined for 11 assists and only 3 turnovers against LSU. If they're getting that level of ball security and they can get into their offense and they're not turning it over in transition, they're not making silly passes, they can beat anybody in the country. I mean, they've shown that. They beat Houston, who's still one of the top teams in the country. And now Alabama's joined that.
Adam, let's do this. We're going to have our producers call you because I think there's a big delay and your internet's getting a little choppy. So we'll have our producers call you on the phone. We'll try to get you back here in a few seconds on TexAgs Radio. But Bama is scary, and that's the team that A&M's going to have to play. But we still got a little bit of time for that. As for the A&M turnaround, as John Puglisi told us, as we've talked about on this show with Logan and Tap and Billy and all the analysts, it is all about learning the Buzz way. And learning the Buzz way doesn't necessarily mean like learning how to it's the system, but it is the chemistry involved in all parties on the floor. How connected are they when they make one move? And then offensively, how do they combat that, right? What do they do from an offensive perspective off of these breaks? And they have been, there was a little stretch, even when they're winning games, where they were struggling getting to the cup. They're not struggling getting to the cup right now. They're finishing that. And when you're getting a post-presence play like you are from Henry Coleman and Julius Marble, let's go back to Adam Spencer here on the hotline. I was just talking a little bit about how an A&M team has to be so connected, Adam, defensively to create their offense. But they're also getting so much scoring and really just solid play from their front court.
Yeah, I mean, that's always been a key that, I've noticed over these past couple of years is when they have Henry Coleman going, especially in that front court, they can hang and they can really extend some leads. He's had back-to-back double-doubles, and it's no surprise to me that those have been, two big wins over a ranked Mizzou team and then just a 41-point blowout of South Carolina. I'm not surprised that he's played, some of his best basketball of the year in those games. He's a real, he had 2 points and 6 rebounds against Murray State. That was a loss. He had 2 points and 1 rebound against Colorado. That was a blowout loss. So, he's kind of, you look at what he does and, if he's going well, say, 2 points, 4 rebounds in that loss to Wofford. If Henry Coleman is playing pretty well, then if he gets a double-double, I think that the Aggies are almost unstoppable. Like he's that important to them because he does that dirty work inside, like you were mentioning, defensively cleaning the glass, and he allows the Wade Taylors of the group to get out and run, the Tyrese Radfords to get out and run and focus on getting their shots up instead of having to do the dirty work defensively and on the offensive glass. So Henry Coleman's been a key to this 4-0 start in SEC play for sure.
Let's talk Kentucky for a second, too. I know Coach Cal recently said that he doesn't believe that Oscar Tshiebwe has been to the gym as often as he was last year. So I look at his numbers. They're not terribly different than last year, but they are lower. He's almost 2 points lower a game, and his rebounds are also about 2 lower. What is going on with Oscar Tshiebwe this year?
I think that it's really interesting that he would try to call out, the one consistent thing that Kentucky has had this year. I mean, yeah, he's not doing the things at the historic rate that he was, last year. But he's still one of the best rebounders in the country. He's still a great post scorer. So I mean, that was a really weird comment from Calipari. I didn't necessarily like it. I mean, he's made some really head scratching comments this year about his team, and I think that whatever success Kentucky has had, Oscar Tshiebwe has been right in the middle of it. So I mean, yeah, you want your guys to play their best. To mention that publicly during his radio show was kind of weird to me because any of Kentucky's best lineups, Tshiebwe is a part of it. And, I thought that the more concerning thing that Calipari said the other day was that he wouldn't, when they were mentioning the Kason Wallace, Antonio Reeves, CJ Frederick, Jacob Toppin, and Oscar Tshiebwe lineup, which was incredible against Tennessee and was one of the biggest reasons that they pulled off that upset. He hedged when he was asked if that lineup would see the court more together because he just mentioned Severe Wheeler again and how much he loves playing Severe Wheeler. So, I think that Calipari's coaching style is going to continue to hurt Kentucky down the stretch. It's just bizarre, some of the things that he's saying this year.
Adam, I know that Houston's the number one team in the country, but are they the best team in the country in your eyes?
I mean, they're a top 3 team, but I think we've seen that, Alabama can go into that environment and win there. I think that Alabama has a real case for being that number 1 team. Their losses are to Gonzaga on a neutral court, and they have that loss to UConn, which is far from a bad loss. So they've gone toe to toe with some of the best teams in the country, and they've come out victorious in a lot of these situations. So I think Alabama has a real case, especially with the way that they're playing right now and taking care of the ball. So I would vote for Alabama, honestly, but that's not taking anything away from Houston. I would maybe put them at number 2 just because it's tough for me to rank them ahead of Alabama when Alabama has the win on Houston's home court.
All right, let's turn our attention to football for a minute, and a lot has been made about A&M's offense. Obviously, this past year was horrible. It was terrible offense. Bobby Petrino coming along as the offensive coordinator. How different do you think this offense will look, and how much more production can we expect to see?
Yeah, I think that the pieces are in place for a big step forward, and I think that all starts with the quarterback, Connor Weigman. He showed some flashes in games. Once the season started going downhill, if I was Jimbo Fisher, I probably would have turned the reins over to him a little bit sooner. I can understand why he didn't, but I would have maybe once some of these losses started piling up, and it was like, well, we're playing for either 6-6, or eventually it was, we're not making a bowl game, but let's make some noise on our way out. I would have maybe turned it over to the freshman a little bit sooner. But, Bobby Petrino, whatever negative things he brings to the table, he also brings a great offensive mind. Weigman should be the unquestioned starter going into next year. So, a full off season of him getting prepared and, working with a competent offensive system that Petrino is going to bring to the table. I think that, just from those 2 things alone, and then getting Layden Robinson back is really big for the offensive line. So there's a lot to be excited about next year, and I think it all starts at that quarterback position though, and I'm excited for what step I think he's going to take in 2023.
Here's a question you can't answer, but I'll ask you anyway. What about the Alabama offense? We don't know if Bill O'Brien's going to be around. We don't know the quarterback situation. How different will their offense look?
Yeah, I think that if I'm Alabama and I'm sitting there looking at those options at quarterback, I'm potentially going to look into transfer portal option X. I might see what quarterbacks are out there that potentially could come to Alabama and make an immediate impact. I think Ty Simpson is a good quarterback. I think he's not ready yet though, and I think that the offense has a real ceiling with Jalen Milroe, and I think that that's a ceiling that can't necessarily win the SEC West next year. I think he's a good player, but I think that they need to really explore all their options. But you're right; it's going to come down to who's going to be calling that offense and what style does he run. So if Bill O'Brien leaves, which is looking more and more likely that he could go back to the Patriots, I think that Alabama is still a very attractive job, and I think that Nick Saban's going to land a heck of an offensive coordinator, and then you should give that guy free reign if he wants to develop Ty Simpson, if he wants to develop Jalen Milroe, fine. If he wants to hit the portal, though, you have to be open to that, and we'll see what options are out there, because there's still a few intriguing guys right now, but that could also get even more interesting as spring ball approaches, and once guys at other schools learn the pecking order.
Adam, we appreciate it, man. We'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right, man. Adam Spencer there, Saturday Down South. Appreciate his time here on TexAgs Radio. All right, when we got one more segment to go, we'll hit a break here. We'll come back with your final thoughts on the text line, A&B text line 979-693-1150. You're listening to TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers.
I'm Chelsea Reber with your community calendar on The Zone. The Brazos Valley Astronomy Club invites the public to hear Mark Spearman, PhD, discuss the multiverse, science or pseudoscience. The free event is Friday, January 20th at the Physics and Astronomy Teaching Observatory at 7:30 p.m. More information is at brazosvalleyastronomyclub.org. A&M Consolidated Fine Arts presents Mamma Mia the Musical. Performances run January 26th through the 28th. Purchase your tickets online at consolfinearts.ludus.com. The Brazos Valley African American Museum invites you to their 22nd annual appreciation event on Saturday, February 25th. Purchase your tickets online at bvaam.org. Listen to the NFL playoffs on 1150 AM and 93.7 FM thanks to Hungry Howie's. You can hear the divisional round, championship weekend, and the Super Bowl every game on The Zone. That's your community calendar. I'm Chelsea Reber on The Zone.
Want $50,000 to develop your big idea? If you have an idea, a prototype, or a startup in manufacturing or industrial technologies, this message is for you. Design Spark is now accepting applications for their Accelerate Technology Incubator Program. Selected applicants will participate in the 12-month Accelerate program and qualify for up to $50,000 of in-kind funding. Application deadline is January 31st. If you are ready to accelerate your idea, go to designspark.com/accelerate to apply now.
Since 1957, Slovačić Sausage in Snook has been making the best tasting sausage in Texas from the same family recipe. Slovačić is the official sausage of Texas A&M Athletics. Whether it's from the grill to the family gathering or from the pit to the neighborhood party, serve the sausage voted best in the Brazos Valley. Serve Slovačić. Be sure to come in and check out their full-service meat market, relax on the front porch, or grab some fresh kolaches from their bakery on your way out. Slovačić Sausage, Highway 60 in Snook.
Brazos Running Company, located in Century Square, knows the right shoe makes all the difference. They are passionate about running and fitness and for finding the shoe that fits your stride and style. In addition to sought-after running shoe brands like On and Hoka, Brazos Running Company now carries Birkenstock shoes, and they are the only place in town to carry Vuori clothing, one of the hottest athletic wear brands in the country. So come shop Aggie-owned and operated Brazos Running Company in Century Square below Star Cinema Grill in College Station.
What can you expect on the Louis Bellina Show, presented by B&B Automotive and Superior Auto Service? Great question, Bob. Well, we talk a lot of Aggie football. We're fans of Aggie basketball, Aggie baseball, too. From time to time, we'll venture into the lifestyles portion. Sure, maybe it's not sports, but things in the life of every sports fan. We also love to take your text messages, great guests from around the country. That's what you can expect from the Louis Bellina Show, presented by B&B Automotive and Superior Auto Service.
Welcome back, TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. Eric, you survived day one back. Been, 9 months since you worked here?
Yeah, probably something like that since like May. Wow, it's been a long time. Did you miss me?
No, no, I didn't. That's weird to miss somebody.
Right answer.
No, but I do like you on the show, and I'm obviously kidding. Did you listen to the show while you were gone? Every once in a while in the summer, I remember you texting me. I'm sure during the season it gets a little difficult.
Yeah, so I actually worked at Sherwin-Williams Paint this summer, and I had a lot of like downtime, like working in the back, like restocking stuff on the shelves, and I would always like put my earbuds in and listen to it. And sometimes I would like comment like, hey, what's up, David? What's up, Obi? So I hope you saw that a couple times. And I think I even tried to text in the show one time, but I don't know if it ever went through because I had never done that before. I'm just so used to like reading them off the text messages, but I've never like done it myself. But yeah, no, of course, absolutely. I love keeping up with the show, and during football season, that's my favorite time of the year. So
I'm going to finish off the show with a little baseball talk for a moment. So we did tell you earlier in that D1 baseball has A&M ranked number 5, which is the 4th best SEC team. That's still pretty good, right? A&M's going to be just fine this year. LSU 1, Tennessee 2, Stanford 3, Ole Miss 4, and Texas A&M is 5 there. So good stuff there. And then
as Richard Zane would put it, we're ranked 5th in the nation, but picked 3rd in our division.
That's crazy.
That's pretty wild.
It is wild. Another thing that Big Shooter said, if you look at the thread, he mentions that half of last year's College World Series field is unranked. Oklahoma, unranked. Texas, unranked. Auburn, unranked, and Notre Dame, unranked. That's where it is. That's the situation there. So pretty interesting stuff, to say the least. And 4 out of the top 5, top 7 out of the top 10, all from the SEC. So I believe it was last week, I was texting back and forth with Schloss. Yeah, name drop is what I do. And he said he's going to start his hits on this show on January 31st. So a couple weeks away from that. Looking forward to be talking baseball. Hopefully we'll be talking about some elite basketball and elite baseball right around the same time. Carry us through the summer, get us to June, and then there you go. Football season right around the corner, SEC Media Days. That's what I hope. And that's what I think could happen. So that'll be fun. All right, so baseball, keep it going. And I agree. Somebody on the thread says better than being number 6. We know what happened to the last team in town that was ranked preseason number 6, and we don't need to talk about that. We've done that enough on this program. All right, so here's the deal. We're done for today. Thank you for Eric for rejoining us. He did great. Nick Savage and his crew back there, awesome work. Even Big Shooter back there as well. My thanks to our guest today, Coach Pat Henry was here in studio, getting us ready for the remaining parts of the track season. John Puglisi breaking down Aggie basketball. Adam Spencer with the world's worst Zoom from Saturday Down South. That delay, like he answered the question 9 minutes after I asked it, but then when we got him on the phone, he was great. Appreciate that. Tomorrow on the program, Eric, remind me, what do we got? We got to do what? John Harris?
Yep, and then we also have
Chris Taylor. Player Spotlight.
We also have Ryan Broniger.
Bronny.
And then at 10:35, Logan Lee.
The Logan Lee. So it'll be a great show. All right, friends. Thank you so much for, by the way, Sean, good job there at the mothership. That's going to do it here for TexAgs Radio on a Tuesday. The deal is we'll see you all mañana.